Hello, everybody, and welcome to the award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Coming up in this segment, Mr. Jeffrey Zekin has our pre-owned car of the week, the 2017 Toyota Camry. You'll find out about the average retail price along with some of the options available that particular year if you're looking for a good used car. We'll have a preview of some of the area events as well as a few of this week's automotive news headlines. And we invite you to stay tuned for that. 2.5-hour show all the way till 12 noon Central Time. We invite you to stay tuned. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars right there, King Conrad DeLong here, Don Armstrong here. Jeffrey Zekin will be with us momentarily. He's sitting off stage, and he will be joining us, as he always does, in all of his glory. But right now, we have with us one of my favorite guys. I mean, I've known him not that long. I don't know. Randy, what, about 5 years or so? Randy Borcherding owns a place with his wife called PaintHouse here in the Houston area, just up to the northwest side. And he does custom cars, and he is known for his paint. As a matter of fact, paint houses all over the United States get Randy to mix certain colors, special colors for them to paint on their cars.
He's a colorful guy.
He is a colorful guy. And a very pleasant good morning to you, Mr. Borcherding.
Howdy, fellas. Thanks for having me again.
Hey, thank you. It's always good to talk to you. And today we're going to talk to you about SEMA. Did they even have a SEMA show this year?
Virtually online, but not at a location. No.
So in other words, it sucked because that, I mean, that is an event that the whole world goes to in Las Vegas, and it usually happens the week right after the NHRA race. And everybody that is anybody in the automotive field goes to SEMA to see the new cars.
Goes or shows, you know, because everybody brings a display, and you know that how many. Usually, there's 5 or 6 venues they fill up with SEMA. Randy.
Oh, yeah. It's something you can't recreate online. The energy that place has, and just seeing it all in person. I know they did their best, but I hope they can put it together next year, and maybe they'll have the convention center's construction done.
Are they working on that? Are they making? Don't tell me they're making it bigger.
Oh, they are. Yeah, across the street, they took down one of the hotels and they're adding more space. So,
wow.
Hopefully they'll have time to get it all done. We'll see.
All right. Well, so let's talk about your presentation out there. Congratulations, because one of your cars made it into the top 12, I understand.
It did. We were surprised and honored to be pulled into that level of the competition. And but this year they held it in L.A. in a really cool old brick warehouse. So they found an interesting backdrop, and they filmed their TV show, which is, I'm sure, a very important part of their marketing efforts to keep all of the energy alive to carry us through to next year.
So let's start from the beginning. First of all, you have to submit an entry to get drilled down to these top 12. How many people apply to actually show their car and get into competition with each other?
I don't know the official number. I think it was somewhere between 350 and 400 entries that they narrowed down initially to a top 40. Which would be 4 categories, top 10 in each. And we were told that we had made that. And then, as you said earlier about your helicopter and don't say it because you'll wake up the universe. Well,
yeah, right. That's right. Yeah.
The universe woke up, and all of a sudden we had brakes that were locking up, and we got down to the truck was coming to get the vehicle. They trucked once you made the 12, I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead. Once you were informed you made the 12, they had to tell you ahead of time, even though they film it differently. They sent trucks, pilot transport, to pick all the vehicles up and get them out to L.A., and then flew us out to be part of this TV filming. Well, we had a car the day before that I couldn't drive it a quarter mile, and all of a sudden the brakes locked up.
Nice.
Yikes.
I don't know why. So Jen had to drive to Dallas from Houston and back to go to ATEC, which is Summit's wholesale division, pick up master cylinder,
booster,
2 front calipers, all the pieces for the front. We just replaced everything.
Because you didn't know what was what. Yeah.
Yeah, you had no time to figure it out. And fortunately, we did the all-nighter. We got it up and running, test drove it around at 4 in the morning in the neighborhood. and had one of my guys following me with my truck and trailer just in case it happened again. So we looked like we were stealing cars in the neighborhood, I think. And then the truck showed up the next morning and off it went. So it was, as always, down to the wire, no matter what.
So what kind of car is this?
I guess it's not one. It's a Ranchero. So is it a car? Is it a truck? I think it's a truck. It has a bed. They put me in the truck category.
Okay.
71 Ranchero. I'm sorry. Yeah, 71.
71 Ranchero. And what kind of PaintHouse color does it have on it?
It has what we call dark maroondy pearl. It's kind of a burgundy pearlescent tone.
Yeah.
The picture you see behind me, as I see it in the camera on my computer, that's about what it looks like.
Very nice. Very nice. And so you made it to the top 12, and I assume at the top 12 level, competition is really stiff.
Oh, it is. Yeah, you get there and you wonder, I think I may have outkicked my coverage on this one. I don't think I belong in this room, but here we are, and you got to just ride it out. And fortunately, in this contest, it's judged by the builders, so the 12 of us judge each other, which makes it really pure, really true to what it should be. And I feel like the best 4 made the top 4, and the best one won the event.
Well, can you divulge that information?
Oh yeah, it was announced yesterday. The ultimate winner of Battle of the Builders 2020 was a 63, I think it is, black 2-door Impala station wagon that won the Riddler this year.
Pretty high cotton if it won the Riddler as well.
Phenomenal car.
Now, had that builder built other, let's say, Riddler cars, Millwinder cars, or SEMA cars before, and received the same?
They snuck into Detroit and surprised everybody.
Wow!
Did you know this guy?
No, I met him this weekend for the first time. It's him, his brother, and his dad, and they all built it together.
Now, how cool is that? How cool!
Do they own a professional shop, Randy?
I think they do. I hate to say, I didn't get to know him really well. Yes, I think the answer is yes. But it took him 9.5 years, and he said he had at least 26,000 hours in that car.
Oh,
Yikes.
My gosh.
But there's other pretty famous builders that were in the top 12 with you. One of them everybody knows, Chip Foose.
Yeah, absolutely. His little frosty green XKE Jaguar was just so beautiful. It was, put it this way, it was sex on wheels. Just a gorgeous car.
Well, that is
so you as a
gorgeous
judge,
car by itself. Yeah.
You as a judge got to go over that car with a fine-tooth comb then, right?
Absolutely. And it did not fail to impress.
Yeah. So when you do that as a judge, because this is your second year because you won Best Truck last year, correct?
Yes.
So when you get a chance to do that and look at this level of car, do you pick up things that you want to incorporate in your next car?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. It's all about learning new tricks. And the one thing I enjoy about this show and shows like this, like the Good Guys shows, it's more about what's right with the vehicle, not about what's wrong with the vehicle. So what I'm looking for is, you're looking for the flaws. We all have them. We all have our little secrets in our cars. But I want to learn, how did he do that? Or when he gets to tell us his story about the car, as we do, you learn what he did to create that shape or that molding or that effect that you didn't realize wasn't ever in that car. And that's true of all 11 of the other candidates. They're just super talented guys, a very diverse group of vehicles they put into this competition.
So let's go back to the truck, the Ranchero. Obviously, that's a customer of yours?
Yes, they're in Monterey, Tennessee, and we adopted the project in its early stages from another shop that just wasn't able to get it where they wanted it. So we went and picked it up in Alabama, brought it back to our shop 2.5 years ago, probably.
Oh my gosh.
And went from basically some body work and primer and took it all the way to the finish line.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to see it. Are there pictures available somewhere we can go look at it?
You could probably find them on our Instagram page, PaintHouse Texas, Facebook. I haven't posted a lot because I didn't want sort of let the secret out until we knew what was going to happen at this contest.
Yeah.
So we'll start putting more pictures up.
Yeah. Apparently, Don doesn't look at our Facebook page because I have shared what you guys post. Actually, I shared your post off your Facebook page to ours that kind of shows the top of the car and then a collection of like 4 or 5 pictures on the right side of the picture. Stunningly.
Why would he look? He's busy stealing license plates, apparently.
Don't tell anybody. I was out last night till the wee hours of the morning. Those 1962 plates are rare. I'm telling you.
Hard to find.
So what powertrain do you have in the Ranchero?
We kept it traditional. It's a 351 Cleveland. We do have fuel injection on it. It's got the AOD Ford overdrive transmission. It's powerful, but not too powerful, very drivable. But it looks right in the car. It's not the modern engines with the engine covers and coil packs.
Didn't look out of place. It looks period correct. It looks like it.
Correct. That's always one of our goals, is not to ruin what's right about these vehicles we build. And in this case, holding on to sort of a heritage era engine, it was the right thing to do. It looks good in there.
Randy, what do you got in the shop right now? What's your next project that's getting ready to go out the door?
Oh, we've got a 67 Firebird. It belongs to a local customer friend. It's going to upholstery. Behind it's a 70 Cougar convertible that's almost ready for upholstery. Beyond that, a 65 El Camino and a 55 Chevy, both on Art Morrison chassis with the modern LT4 supercharged and 8-speed Chevrolet drivetrains, LT4 and 8-speed automatic.
Where's the Corvette? The 63.
We have the 63, the Randy Apple red one.
Yeah.
It has gone back to the builder. Billy Dawson in Seguin Corvette Corrections is building that car. We did the body and paint on it. We do have a 64 Corvette Roadster in the shop that we're doing a kind of a mild upgrade, bolt-on suspension parts, a LS3, 5-speed. Just keep it vintage but drivable. So tuning up the drivetrain and keeping the sort of the patina everywhere else.
So when would be the good time to talk to you next about what's coming out of the shop? We'll just go ahead and make that date right now.
Exactly. I'm going to write
January?
it down.
Probably, yeah.
All right.
When will Battle of the Builders be on?
I don't actually know. They didn't tell us the debut. I think last year it came out in January sometime.
Yeah, I think it was the 19th of January when it was on last time.
How the hell do you remember the 19th?
Because I filmed it. I taped it. I had to set my DVD.
The fact of the matter is, it's the 19th of January. I have no clue I was even alive on the face of this earth on the 19th of last January. And you remember that date? You got to be kidding.
Because I followed it. I wanted to find out when the show was on. I thought it was
he don't get out much.
He doesn't get out much, apparently. Randy does get out a lot. We really appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning. Tell Jen we said hello and give her our best. And congratulations to the top 12 finish for you this year at SEMA. It's always great to talk to you, Randy. We love you, man.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
You do the same. Randy Borcherding, PaintHouse, locally. Okay, it's time now for us to swap seats because we're not doing a commercial break here. And I know that these guys, Mr. Mars and Mr. Zekin, are always on top of it and ready to make changes on a whim, just on a fly.
And that's why you're chatting long enough so that they can swap seats and Jeff can do his review.
Would you rather me just shut up and...
No. I think there's something wrong with dead air, isn't there? You're the broadcast hero here.
I'm not a hero. I'm not anything.
You're the broadcast Hall of Famer.
Why you keep bringing that up? Is that impressive to you?
Yeah, very impressive. I want to hang on your coattails and see
You're
if we can...
so full of crap. What is he talking about? He knows me. He knows all this stuff. Put that headset on. Get ready. You ready?
Now, Jeff's
ready.
here.
But I do want to say one thing. You mentioned earlier when you were doing my car review that, you said that car is in a sweet spot. I am the sweet spot. So,
oh my gosh.
Just to let you know.
Yes, you are, Jeff. And I just want to just validate that right now.
It is validated.
Thank you.
Both of my followers.
Kathy.
Yeah. Kathy and
Susie.
Kylie.
And Kylie.
Yeah,
That's the granddaughter. Okay, time now for this hour's pre-owned car of the week. And joining us is Car Guru, Tire Man, Jeff Zekin, and he is also behind all the video stuff that you see, that you don't see going on behind the scenes, but he's the one over there punching the button. So Jeff has got the 2017 Camry.
Toyota Camry.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And there are three trim levels in this vehicle. There are there's the SE, the LE, and the XLE. So we've kind of whittled it down to those three. Today's review is going to be the SE. The SE is a four-door mid-size. I'm calling it mid-size. You might think it's
This is the
smaller.
entry level.
Correct.
Got it.
So, you got a four-door.
Oh gosh, this would be the. It's a shared chassis with the ES350.
Correct. Now, like I said, getting back to the front grille, styling of it, you can get a rear spoiler, the fog lamps, the grill inserts. Now, the grill inserts.
Mars
on
went
this,
too far with
that's
the
okay.
picture. And
We'll come back to it. There's going to be more. The grill insert styling, you have changes of that. You've got the honeycomb style, the straight style of the grill. You have 9 color options, and of course, we just had Randy earlier, just a segment ago.
And he could give you any color you wanted.
Exactly.
If you
I was just about to say that. He could paint it any color you wanted, and this is a 2017, so take it to him. Alloy wheels, you got 16-inch and 17-inch. You got steel wheels, so there's a variety there of the 16s and 17s. I did mention it's Lexus-esque. I like that. And moving on in the picture, now I like that shot there. You've got the rear spoiler built in on the deck lid. You've got the alloy wheels there, and of course you can get dual exhaust. Now these do come with engine modifications, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit. So, so far as the interior, you've got the rear camera set up. You've got heated mirrors. You've got the 6 to 8 speaker JBL system. The 8 speakers you can get on the LE and the XLE, but on the SE you got basic 6 speakers. Cloth interior, 8-way seats are optional, and of course they do come standard with the XLE speed-sensitive radio. Now I have this in my Cadillac, which is cool. I don't know if you ever have that.
Yep.
The faster you drive, the louder it gets, and of course when you slow down, the sound diminishes for your passengers.
Cool little feature.
Most cars have that. these
Well,
days.
I think it's a cool option. I really do. And you have to set it, which is
In some of the cars, you can set the variants.
yes,
low,
louder
medium, and
quieter.
high.
right. Always high.
He's unimpressed.
Always high.
Go ahead.
So the interior there's a good shot of that, and I like the bolsters on that seat. You've got the nice, thick, wrapped steering
Racing
wheel.
seats.
They are. They look very. They look very racy. So there's not many options on the inside. You can get the leather, and of course the cloth, and of course the inserts on that as well. And then moving on to the back, you can see that the seats in the back. I don't know why manufacturers do this, but they're always upright. They're always like you're sitting on a board, in my opinion. So there you go. There's a shot of that, and there's not a lot of back foam in it, in my opinion. So
It's just for the kids. You're not going to put very many adults back there.
yeah, I mean, but occasionally you do. I mean, you put the mother-in-law or the grandkids or whatever, versus vice versa.
People you hate. Put them back there.
We could do that as well.
Said by the man who's been married 3 times.
Exactly. Now, on the engine, like we talked about earlier, it's a 2.5 4-cylinder. It's 178 horsepower at 6,000 RPM, double overhead cam, and there's a picture of it. Now, that's the 4-cylinder. I'm not sure if I put a shot of the 6-cylinder in it, which
it doesn't make any
it doesn't
difference.
make any difference.
No.
170 foot-pounds of torque in Conrad's Newton meters. It's a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now, mileage rating, 25 miles per gallon in the city, 32 miles per gallon on the highway. Average, about 27. You can get 27, which is good. And in a year-make vehicle, that's pretty decent.
That was, yeah.
And they probably made 300,000, 400,000
at
of them
least,
that year.
At least. Now, what I like about this, too, they'll run. We talked about
Forever.
Exactly, but you got to maintain them. And I suggest always buying the extra maintenance package if you can. You can even get them on pre-owned vehicles. If it's certified pre-owned, the CPO vehicles, you can actually buy that additionally, which is a good thing. Moving on to the pricing, we've got, as tested, this one is right around 23 to 24 in that range, with about 60,000 miles, 62,000.
So it holds its value well.
Absolutely.
Because that $23,000 for a used 3-year-old vehicle is a lot.
It's pretty stout. Right. And again, you're going to go into the 23s, the 24s if it's maintained. You've got records and things which most dealerships do keep for you. The XLE, you're looking at a 26,000 plus
Wow.
on that for the higher end of the trim ratings.
That's really holding its value.
Right. So I think that's impressive. Now, what the competitive or the other vehicles like are the Honda Accord, which you talked about earlier.
Yep.
You got a Ford Fusion, which is more comparable to the XLE. And then, of course, you've got, say, like a Volkswagen or a Hyundai, the Hyundai Sonata that you're going to be reviewing, an older version of that would be comparable on that as well.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
That was good. You know what you're going to do next week?
Yes, I do. Ferrari 308 GTB GTS. So if there's one out there, let me know.
Wow.
He's going to do his Magnum imitation.
Because we never really talk about exotic cars, which I would consider a Ferrari. So we don't know how much those are going. We know what they are for when they're new. $200,000.
I'm only doing it if someone sends me,
Just do it. No, I want you to do it.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Do it. We'd love to hear it.
All right, I'll do
Hey,
that.
we'd love to hear your questions or comments. Our email address is info@inwheeltime.com. We're going to move on with our show now because it's time to take a look at what's left of racing for the season. And there are a couple of races left. And also the fact that there are some cruise-ins coming up as well.
Yeah, well, one of the things I definitely want to do is give a shout-out to Erica Enders, OOEE. She won the Pro Stock World Championship last weekend in Las Vegas, the fourth time she was world champion.
And I posted a video that they finally got out this week of her trip out there to Las Vegas and the ultimate win and all of that.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
on Facebook. So if you want to check that out after the show.
After the show. So Formula One is this weekend, and they're having the Turkish Grand Prix in Istanbul, which I think is kind of an interesting place to
There's
have
a song in that somewhere. I can't remember something from the 40s
and
or
then
50s.
on the 27th is going to be the Bahrain Grand Prix in Bahrain, and then the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi. And that'll be the season ender. So they're really carrying the F1 season late. Usually F1's over by the 1st of November, and now they're going to be all the way into December. Tomorrow is Phoenix for NASCAR, and that is going to be their final event. The point leader at the end of that, and there's only 4 drivers that are eligible for the final, and be pretty interesting to have that in Phoenix. Phoenix is kind of an odd triangular shaped track that really makes it a little bit more difficult for them to drive because each of the corners is substantially different. And that's, to a large degree, most of what's going on in racing. IMSA is going to have next weekend their finale at the 12 Hours of Sebring, which should have been back in March, but now they're going to have it in November. And our friend Alec Udell is going to be driving in that as well. And if you kind of follow us on Facebook, Alec does a driver's perspective of the life of a professional race car driver.
Performer.
That's
what you were going to say.
It was what I was going to say. And I share a lot of his posts on there. If you get a chance to read them, it's a very analytical view of what it takes to drive at that level, what it takes to manage the car, the tires, the process of driving as well as driving the car. So very, very cool series of pieces he does that I've been sharing. So tomorrow is Kima Car Meet. Nifty 50s is tomorrow. They're going to have their tonight. I'm sorry. Kima Car Meet is tonight. Nifty 50s is tonight. And Randy's down to the last 2 shows he's going to do of the year, tonight being one of them. And tonight is an all Mustang night. So they're really inviting a lot of the classic Mustangs to come on out and show.
Will Sally be there?
And then Mustang Sally will be there. Yes, she will. And then the Blacklist.
Did she shave her legs? That's the real question.
Gosh. The Blacklist Multi-Club meet is going to be in Rosenberg at 111 Herndon Drive tonight at 6 p.m. Tomorrow is the Bayou City Cup Series Championship Show in Alvin at the Garage Bar. Also tomorrow is the WM Luxury Car Gathering at 7800 Washington, and you want to go see some high-dollar iron, go to 7800 Washington tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. to 11. They're going to have a lot of real high-dollar iron there. And then again, Sunday night at Freddy's at 1960 in Eldridge. Later in the week is Wednesday night at Freddy's and Katy. And then Freddy's Steak Burgers on Kirkendall and 2920 is every Friday night. Back to you, Don.
Back to you, Don Armstrong. Come on down. Oh, sorry. Just had a little slip there.
And then the big event is going to be Tailpipes and Tacos on the 21st.
Yeah, don't forget that. And you don't have to show a car. Just come on out and look at the cars that are going to be there. And we're going to be there doing our show from 8 to 11, so be sure and stop by and say hello. Time now for some of the stories making automotive news this week. You ever heard of a guy by the name of Bob Brockman?
Name rings a bell. Okay. Don't know why.
Well, Bob Brockman is a Houstonian, okay? And he is in a whole world of trouble for money laundering and tax evasion.
Uh-oh.
He owned...
I don't know him.
You don't know him? Oh.
I don't want to know.
We don't want to know him. Yeah, stay far away. All I could think of was Ken. Remember Ken Lay?
Yeah.
Ken Lay, the CEO of Enron. This guy is kind of in that vein. And apparently he's got some bad things going on for him. Here's the story this week. Swiss prosecutors froze more than $1 billion of his dollars held in bank accounts belonging to Houstonian Bob Brockman, who's been charged here in the U.S. for alleged tax evasion and money laundering. Reynolds and Reynolds Company announced yesterday that Brockman stepped down as CEO and chairman of the dealer management system giant. Apparently, every car dealer in the United States and beyond owns this Reynolds and Reynolds system that manages all sorts of things that go on within a dealership, including sales.
Any of the processing of stuff in a dealership, service department, repair orders, body shop, new sales department stuff.
Well, Bobby Boy was indicted in October by U.S. federal prosecutors for allegedly using a network of secret Caribbean entities to evade taxes on $2 billion in investment income in what may be the largest prosecution of its kind in United States history.
Yeah, they used to be spaced up off of 290. I think they still are.
Brockman is accused of using a Bermuda-based family charitable trust and other offshore entities to hide assets from the IRS while failing to pay taxes on any of it.
Hiding assets.
He also is charged with money laundering and other crimes. Reynolds and Reynolds provides management software that almost every car dealership in the U.S. uses. That's why we have kind of the story.
So they froze $1 billion. I wonder how many other billions he has hidden somewhere else where it's really not going to affect him very much.
Way to go, Bob, moron. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Probably help if you turned his mic on.
He don't want to hear what I got to say today.
Volkswagen of America's Audi unit is recalling more than 94,000 vehicles in the U.S. because the C-pillar padding, ABC pillar, that's the one back at the back window, may not absorb enough impact in the event of a crash, increasing the risk of head injury in passengers who are not wearing seatbelts.
Then stop smashing your head into it.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple.
The third button on your coat is missing, and it's only the coat that you wear maybe once a year. Really?
And if you're not seat belted, don't smash your head into the C-pillar.
Spokesman from Audi told Automotive News that the recall was found through routine testing, and the automaker is not aware of any accidents or injuries related to the defect.
Gosh. Yeah, I was going to say, what a waste of money that is.
That is. All right, well, that's it. We're going to have more news headlines in the next couple of hours of a show, so I invite you to stay tuned for that. In Wheel Time continues after this quick pit stop. Stay with us. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. The Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In in Katy returns Saturday morning, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. This fun and fabulous event attracts the best rides in town. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all in one place. The Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a 3-hour friends and family event. Loopy's will have breakfast tacos, coffee, and the best cars, all at one location. The Loopy Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Loopy founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. at Loopy's in Katy. The In-Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise-in, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. It's the award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Show. Just ahead in this hour, Richard Tomlin joins us to talk about the Wrech Rally. Inside our new car showroom is the Chevy Colorado. We'll give you an in-depth review, including the MSRP. You'll also get this week's automotive news, Conrad's Car Clinic, and the stories making auto news headlines this week, all just ahead on today's In-Wheel Time Car Show for Saturday, November 7th, 2020. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong, and Jeff Zekin, who's a little bit off camera over there, handling the video aspects of the show this morning.
Jeff is a little bit off, for sure.
There's no doubt about it. I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could join us, and we really appreciate that. And our guest right off the bat this morning is a good friend of our show with Apex Auto Works. His name is Richard Tomlin. Richard, good morning to you. Where in the world are we?
We're at Eagles Canyon Raceway up just north of Denton, Texas this morning.
It's out near Decatur. I've been there.
Yeah, that place.
What is going on out there? It looks like a beautiful morning, and the cameraman is a little drunk.
It is amazing this morning. It's a little noisy. Sorry, we got the Spec Miatas out there making a lot of extra noise for us. But fall SECA Roundup, one of the last races in our region closing out this year.
Well, very nice. And obviously you're not participating in that event, but are you participating in some...
No, I'm out here participating as crew. I've got about 7 cars that we built. We're helping the guys out, making sure tire pressures are right, oil overflow, water, chasing issues this morning. That's just how racing is, right?
Yeah, well, we appreciate you taking the time out to join us this morning on what looks like a beautiful morning up there in North Texas.
It is a good Texas day. Very, very nice out here.
So Richard wanted to talk to you about the Wrech Rally, apparently, that you participated in or had something to do with.
Very coordinated.
Why don't you give us a little background on the Wrech Rally, if you don't mind, while we look at all the good stuff going on out there?
Yeah, so the Wrech Rally basically started out as we have a lot of friends and we wrench on cars and we work on cars and have continually been looking for a way to give something back to society other than just fixing cars. And we run a lot of cars in Lemons and SCCA, and the joke was always, well, if you can buy a car for $500 and race it for 24 hours, then why can't I buy a car for $1,500 in Seattle, Washington, drive it to Houston, and give it to a single mother, give it to a single father? And that's what we've done. We flew out there. We purchased 15 vehicles. Only 14 of them started the event, but all 14 made it to Houston, and we donated 6 vehicles to single mothers, single fathers across the Houston area.
When did this project start and finish?
Oh, wow. The actual race started, or the rally started on a Friday morning, a Thursday, and we finished here Sunday in Houston at Einar's Garage.
Very nice. So was that about a week?
Oh, no, this is 2.5 days.
Yeah, they left
2.5 days.
You left Seattle on a Saturday morning?
Friday morning at 7 a.m. You arrived in Denver Saturday between 9 and 3, and you had to be in downtown Houston by 5 p.m. Sunday.
on a $1,500 car that you knew very little about. But you guys,
there was an $800 Honda Civic that only had a tire blowout. And the best part about that is that when they bought the car for $800, it came with an extra set of rims and tires. So they just took one of the 4 out of the back and put it on the car.
Oh, my gosh. This is kind of like an episode of Roadkill by about a dozen or so, isn't it?
Right. It's Roadkill with a twist because the goal was to go have a little bit of fun, see parts of the country we had not seen, see some of the historical monuments, which you got points for in the rally, and then turn around and give it to a family. And, 3 of the 6 we donated were minivans. We donated 2 Honda Odysseys and a Dodge Caravan.
So who were the participants and how did they get involved in all of this, Richard?
Most of them came as friends of mine that hang out with me too much and probably have too much beer with us. But we did have some people from Phoenix. We had some people from South Carolina, Seattle, all marketing on Facebook. We just reached out to some of the people we race with, and here's what we're doing. Here's how much fun we think we're going to have. And it was 20 times what we expected. It was a really, really great experience.
So you also had a kind of a cleanup truck kind of follow the crowd through. How much work did the cleanup truck have to do in case somebody's car did go down?
Well, so that all changed too. And we did have a service truck. It was my truck that I used for the Mexico rally. We ran it as a service truck chasing. We called it a chase truck. But all they did was one alternator. By the time they got to the guy changing the tire, he was already done.
Oh,
so
wow.
we lost an alternator on the Haggerty van. So Haggerty Insurance was a sponsor of the event. They're one of them that bought the Honda Odyssey. Between Haggerty and Christian Brothers, the event couldn't happen without them.
How cool is that? And then who did you coordinate with about finding the needy moms and dads to give the cars to? Who was the coordinating?
So this was something I was unaware of. A local shop, national franchise called Christian Brothers, runs a organization called The Hub. And basically, if somebody abandons a vehicle or neglects a vehicle at Christian Brothers, they're just not going to fix it. Christian Brothers will take that thing over time, fix it up, and then they'll end up donating it to a family in need.
Okay.
So we donated all 6 vehicles to their foundation, 501c3, and they are all being gone through, cleaned up, stickers taken off, and being delivered to families around Houston.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing how many cars are left at shops uncollected, where the shop ends up filing a mechanics lien against it, and then they own it. What a great opportunity to give that car away to a needy person.
Now, this is about making everyone's life around us a little bit better. That was the whole purpose in this. And we get to have fun while we're doing it. It's even better. We've got another one scheduled where we're going to run to Daytona. We're going to do the 24 hours of Daytona, and then we will rally back to Houston on Old Highway 90 coming along the coastline. So it should be a Sunday evening, Monday, Tuesday rally. We'll be back from Rolex 24 hours.
That'll be an interesting drive down 90. That's a cool road. Now, Richard, you had some interesting vehicles. I mean, you mentioned the minivans. Obviously, that's going to a needy family, which is great. But didn't you have a couple other entries that were a little different?
Yeah, so we had a Mercedes manual Roadster. I'd never seen one of them manual. Audi S4 showed up. We had a limousine. Who would have thought a limousine, but they bought it for $1,500. I didn't get in the limousine. Other people did. They've been tested for COVID since. We had a truck, 76 GMC 2500, 350, 4-speed manual, or four-wheel manual on the floor for a four-wheel drive. But they ended up losing the rear axle on the way to the driver's meeting. Drive shafts fell out, and as Conrad will tell you, when drive shaft falls out, it gets bent. Got bent, and there was no way to get one overnight, so they sold the vehicle off to a local gentleman, and it is actually running and driving and now tagged in Seattle. So it was something they saved out of a junkyard.
So did they turn around and get something different to make the run, or just
no? They hopped on a plane and beat me back to Houston. So they were back in Houston that evening, but they've already secured an RV for the Daytona to Houston rally.
So how many?
Bringing an RV back.
We know how many cars. How many people were involved? Would you estimate?
We had 37 people total for the rally. So some teams had 3, some teams had 4, one team had 5. It was a great mix of people, and I introduced myself to some new friends out of town, JC Supercars, which you guys will get a chance to talk to them eventually as well. They'll be in town, but they give away a car a month through their shop in Arizona, and are giving away 12 cars for the month of Christmas. of December for Christmas.
So Richard, the In Wheel Time show really wants to know, first of all, how big is the chase truck? But more importantly, how do you gather up parts for a dozen cars and put them in the back of the truck in case, the alternator falls off? How does that work?
It was more about having the tools to take everything apart, identify what's there, what we need to fix, and then the chase truck can run to town to fix and secure that.
Go get the parts.
So it really wasn't a chase parts truck. It was just a chase truck that actually went and got the parts and brought it to you.
Yeah, not leaving you stranded in the middle of Montana when it was 20 degrees as people were coming through the mountains.
Yikes.
Didn't seem like a good plan.
Saw some of the pictures of the snow and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool that you got to see all of that and do all of that.
So you
had amazing part of the country that I'd never been to. So that was part of the reason why we picked Seattle. People also said it was the farthest point in the U.S. that you can actually pick to drive back from. It's actually further than New York. It was a 2,400-mile trip from Seattle to Houston, the way we went.
So of all of those cars that you brought back, you only had one problem, and that was a flat tire?
Flat tire, and then the Haggerty team had an alternator on the Odyssey that failed as they were leaving town. Service truck wasn't 10 minutes behind them. They start taking the alternator out, and that's when it started raining. So it is Seattle. What do you expect, right?
Right.
They were laying, it's a Honda Odyssey, the alternator's underneath, so they laid in the water for a little bit. But they had them back on the road less than 45 minutes. They were able to coast into an auto zone on battery power, got it swapped out, put them right back on the road. So the end of that night, they caught back up with the other teams.
So that was Angelica?
Angelica's team, yep, from Haggerty. She's on there all the time.
So you had Angelica laying underneath the truck, putting the alternator in?
Oh, no. She was just standing outside cheering for everybody doing the work. It was great.
Well, Angelica Houston from Haggerty, she's a friend of the show as well. We have her on with some frequency. I'm
going to get you guys introduced to Andy from Christian Brothers. He's good people, and he was really instrumental in securing where we were donating these. We had a couple charities local we had talked to. They didn't seem real interested in giving our vehicles directly to somebody. They were talking about selling them at an auction, and that's not what we did. We went out there with the mindset of buying a vehicle that we were going to come back and give to a single parent. We wanted something that was functional. The teams that did not donate their vehicles, two of them specifically were father-son teams, where they went out and they bought the son's first vehicle, and then father and son made the trip back to Houston with the vehicle.
Oh, cool.
What a cool experience.
Yeah.
Very special memories that were made on the trip, not just giving back to society.
So the vehicles themselves. So you mentioned that for the Daytona run, somebody's already secured an RV to bring back.
Yep.
So, I mean, were they buying these ahead of time, or they had to wait until they got there? How did that work?
The original concept was we wanted everybody to wait until they got there. And people got to the point where they felt it was better to purchase one before and know what they were getting into. So, like you guys talking about spare parts. There were teams that ordered spare alternator, spare starter, had it there when you landed on the ground, and we're changing some of that stuff.
Richard, your finger is over the microphone. Richard, your finger is over the microphone of the cell phone, so it's kind of hard to hear you.
I'll change my hand. That's fine.
That's good.
They would basically order the parts early, like the team that had the Honda Odyssey. They had an extra starter. They had an extra alternator waiting for them when they hit the ground. Went and picked up the van, and they basically carried it with them as a spare. Some teams changed stuff out in the parking lot. We had a team that did a timing belt change in a parking lot, a couple of water pump changes that happened before we left. But these are all wrenches. These are all mechanics, and that's what makes the program work.
All right, so let's go back to where you are right now and the event that's going on up there in North Texas. I noticed that over your left shoulder, there's a house back there. Did you guys buy that for me to be able to take care of the facility and leave me someplace to live, or what?
Right. We need to take a look at that on Airbnb and see if that's available for you.
Is there? So you don't think that there's anybody living there currently?
There's a full family there and two very large dogs.
Oh, okay. So I'm glad that you drilled it down that far. So tell me.
Walking over there, they're that large.
I see.
It was like, I just don't want to tempt that.
Yeah. So I want to know more about this facility. It's a road course, clearly. How big is it? What's the name of it? Where is it located specifically?
This is a 2.7-mile road course in Decatur, Texas, just north of out in the hill country is what I call it, because we don't have hills like this in Houston. But the elevation changes here make it absolutely fantastic racing facility.
So it's probably not quite of the caliber of Circuit of the Americas, but it'll do in a pinch.
It is. it is actually better than Circuit of the Americas in my opinion. And I'll say this. So Circuit of the Americas was built to run F1 cars around, cars that can run 210, 220 mile an hour.
Yeah.
When you take some of our basic production cars out there, you're topping out at 90, so you're just sitting there changing your radio station looking for 97.5 FM, right? You're looking for some and wheel time to listen to on the back stretch because it takes you so long to get down it in the front stretch. Whereas this is a much smaller track, a much busier track, a lot more driving skill required. Here, F1 has tons of driving skill, don't get this wrong, but they're doing 200, we're doing 90. It's not the same corner at 90 as it is at 200 mile an hour.
So are they racing a full round of SCCA classes up there, or it's pretty much hanging out with the Miatas?
No, we've got 5 groups making up 37 classes today.
Oh my gosh, 37 classes. Now, do you put more than one class on the track at the same time?
Up to 7 on the track at the same time. The last group is one we call Alphabet Soup, and I think they had 7 groups in that one session.
Oh my gosh.
But we've got 111 drivers today, so there'll be a lot of racing going on over today and tomorrow.
Where would my 2001 Corvette, stock Corvette with a 6-speed manual fall? What class would that fall into?
You end up falling, either you do a touring class, which you would be beat down in there because they make you weigh so much, or you would actually build it to like a GT1 car. So if you look up Lou Galati Corvette on any of your Google images, that would pull up what your Corvette would morph into.
Well, no, I don't want to spend any money. I just want to go out.
He just wants to drive it on the track.
Yeah, that's all I want to do.
Then we get you out to a time trials or a track sprint to where you don't actually have to put a cage in a race car to go race.
Well, that's
what he needs.
That's exactly what I do. They have that kind of event down there at Houston Motorsports Ranch
Resort?
We do have that, and I'm one of your hosts for that, so I'll make sure you get an invitation.
Would you please? And when that event is going to be held?
Next year.
A small one coming up November 22nd. It's going to be up north. Our next event will probably not be till New Year's. New Year's Day is what we're looking at right now.
Fun. Okay.
So Don gets to drive and have a hangover.
Well, I mean, that's his choice, right?
I don't think I'll be doing the hangover if I'm driving. No, that won't happen that particular day. Well, how fun is this, Richard? I mean, you must be having a blast. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, life is pretty good, man. It's amazing what can happen. We started Wrech Rally. We didn't know what was going to happen. I knew I had about 5 teams that were going with me no matter what. But to pull out, sponsors that were helping us so graciously, as Haggerty Roadster App, Christian Brothers Automotive, Einar's Garage, Houston came together in great support of the event. And now out doing some SCCA racing as I'm always doing. And we'll start building some more cars next week.
Well, I remember because I was on your messenger group for Wrech Rally, and you guys had even said that going into Seattle, a lot of the people knew you guys were coming into town to buy these $1,500 cars.
It was interesting how many people knew which cars were being bought and then who was seeking them. I think one of the more odd stories was one of the guys that came from Seattle back to Houston. At Einar's Garage, it was Einar's neighbor that he had lived beside like 15 years ago. So super small world stuff going on as well. We had a team that stopped here in Dallas to get coffee on the way through. A lady had actually heard about the Wrech Rally because one of her friends had actually flown up to do video for us. So it's a very small world, and if you're doing the right thing, media seems to get a hold of it and support you in what you're doing. So.
People like it. They want to be involved. They want to be part of it whenever it's a fun thing like that.
Well, Richard, it's always great to talk to you about this event, the Wrech Rally, and your business, Apex Auto Works. And we thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy day up there to talk to us. We appreciate you.
Hey, Richard.
Yeah.
You run across a Candida Romanelli up there? She runs that SCC stuff there at that track.
Okay.
Well, if
what
you
car
do,
you know?
I don't remember what she's got now. She's got a couple of cars. If you run across a little short blonde that drives real fast, tell her we said hello.
Absolutely. I'll take care of that.
Okay. Well,
you'll have a great show.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for joining Don's Dating Service, and we'll talk to you later. Richard Tomlin, Apex Motor Works.
How fun is that?
It is fun. Exactly. All right.
One of these days, we're going to have to go.
Yeah. I want to do that New Year's Day thing. That sounds like a lot of fun.
I want to see if he gets into the Daytona, 24 hours of Daytona. He said going to do that and then come back. If he can package it to where you could get into the event, and then come back to Houston?
I'm sure that's the plan.
No. The Houston event. I'm not going to go anywhere to do that. I'm just going to, have somebody drive my car, show me how to drive it, and then let me get behind the wheel.
Well,
that's what I want.
Here's what we can do. You can bring the car to Daytona. I can buy it from you for $1,500, and then we can drive it back.
A claim race.
Thanks for joining us on today's In Wheel Time Car Show. Time now for this hour's car review. I'm sorry, did I ignore you? Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Quite well.
Quite well,
Time now for
actually.
this hour's car review. Mr. Mars talks about the new Chevy Colorado.
Yes, sir. We're talking about the new, the 2021. This is one of the first 21s that I've had the chance to look at. And it's the Chevrolet Colorado. It's the midsize pickup truck from Chevrolet. GM's got 2 of them out. They got cousins. But this is the Colorado, the ZR2.
He told me
crew
it was
cab.
the 2020, but that's
I
okay.
understand, but then I actually did my car review and realized it was a 2021.
All right.
So the interesting thing I found out about this vehicle, let me start with this. The Colorado, you can get it in this now. They've dropped the base model. You can't just go in and say, I want the base trim. The trim, they do have 3. It's a work truck, then the LT, then the Z71. But they also have the ZR1 and the ZR2. Now, the ZR2 is their performance vehicle. Rod Hall Racing has actually ran this vehicle the first time when it debuted in 2017 during some of the desert races, and they've continued to run it since that time as the ZR2 package. And you can get some factory race parts to go on this vehicle. Of course, they'll fit on some of the other Colorados, but it's got all kinds of things. And up front, you're going to find for the 21 model, you're going to find that it's got a revised bow tie up front, and it's got embossed tailgate on it, so it doesn't really have the same tailgate that the other Colorado does. And up front on the grill, it's got a flow-through Chevrolet nameplate on it. And it's exclusive to the ZR2. It comes with a factory 2-inch lift. It's got a 3.5-inch wider track on it because of the wheel offset and the fender flares that are on it. It's got multiple skid plates on it because of the off-road performance aspect of it, off-road shocks, got projector headlamps, factory fog lights up front, easy lift and lower tailgate. Comes with 17-inch graphite wheels, or you can option up to some 20s on that one, but we had the 17s, and of course the fender flares covered it. And so it gives it this great off-road look for a vehicle, and it almost makes it look as big as one of the full-size trucks, to be honest about it. Now it came with the leather seating package, jet black, a lot of black on the inside of this vehicle. The
You know
front
what it
seats
looks
are
like?
heated.
You remember Rat Patrol?
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah,
Well,
you
mount
just need
that
a 50
50
caliber.
caliber in the back of it.
In the back over the roll bar.
maybe we could do a recreation and mount a 50 caliber back there in the bed.
And do it in the wrench rally.
Yeah, no. Just do it.
Yeah,
do it
blowing
down
our way through.
Just do it down the freeway.
Yeah.
Like
See if
that
it
would
draws
draw
any
attention.
attention.
There was a Jeep on Facebook that had one.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, while you're waiting on the police to come in and bust you for that, you can sit in the heated front seats and you can fold down the rear seat so that you can have plenty of room to put all your cargo in there that you're going to need, maybe even a sleeping bag while you're doing your time. So up front in the technology world, you're going to find it's got the Chevrolet Infotainment 3 system on it, got a nice 8-inch screen on it. Apple CarPlay, Android, all the convenience controls for your air conditioning, everything is going to be right there, including the teen driver system that GM has developed. That's really cool. Got embroidered headrests on it, but there is a lot of black on the inside of this vehicle. I will tell you that. Now, you get up under the hood, you're going to find a 3.6-liter V6 engine that was in this model, 308 horsepower at 6,800 RPM, so you got to wind it up a little bit. 275 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. Again, it's running a little bit higher RPM range to me, but it's got an 8-speed automatic transmission, so it sets in there and it can find the gear, and it can set there pretty good. Tow rating is 5,500 pounds, properly equipped. EPA says you should be looking at 16 miles to the gallon in city, 17 on the highway, 18 combined. My week that I had the vehicle, which we did, we worked on a little bit.
10 miles to the gallon because he had his foot in it the entire time.
I got an easy 16 out of it.
Oh, my gosh. You're a lead foot.
Tell us
you were driving it in four-wheel drive all the time.
We did try that out, too. And I will say that the engine and the transmission combination, it's a pretty smooth running gear train, and it shifts pretty easy unless you're into it, and then it'll shift a little bit harder if you want it to. So out on the highway, you're going to find that the ride, it's going to be off-road firm. It is a truck. And it is set up with some heavy-duty shocks and some suspension pieces. The weight of the cast iron or the steel skid plates and stuff kind of help offset some of that. But it does have – well, they're heavy.
Okay,
whatever.
Go ahead.
But it gives you a real solid feel out on the freeways. You know, at freeway speeds, it's not like – it's going to have all this wobble or something because it's an off-road vehicle. It will cruise at a speed that.
I just want to interrupt here. Could you just go ahead and put that on a wide shot? I just want to interrupt here and say, if I were Chevrolet, I would never let you borrow a car ever again in my life.
Oh, gosh, don't say that on the air.
I wouldn't. I mean, he's probably tore it up is what he's done.
Well, let me tell you.
At least he tried to.
Let me. He hasn't tore it up like some of the other guys out there have.
No.
There's a lot of people have wrecked cars. But nobody in this room.
Let me say, be careful how you say that. Let me say that this vehicle comes with some special bumpers and some attachments to it, and
Did it drag you out of the sand?
No, it didn't. But I let me just say that another vehicle that was approaching close by, that these extensions on the rear bumper that are really useful for tying on to almost like tow hooks, but they do protrude from the rear bumper, and if you catch the right rear door panel and quarter of the car just right, I didn't catch it. He caught me.
I knew it.
But regardless, just barely scuffed the paint. Didn't take any paint off. Scuffed the paint on the Colorado.
And it ripped the door off.
It looked like a can opener went down the side. In fact, the guy got out and he said, I'm going to have to get me one of these because if it can hold up like that. It was a sad thing. But we, anyway.
Oh,
so it holds up quite well under all the circumstances that I put it through. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for something to compare this mid-sized vehicle to, you're going to look possibly at a Toyota Tacoma,
an M1A1 Abrams,
a Ford Ranger, or even the new Jeep Gladiator. They've all got off-road packages that you can either opt up to or you can add the parts onto it. Now, the work truck trim level, which is now the base model of the Colorado midsize vehicle, is $25,200. So that's a base start. But you got to get up into the ZR2 where you're going to get all the suspension pieces and you're going to get all the off-road stuff that comes with it from the factory with a warranty. Starts at $43,200. Now, our MSRP tested was $50,145. So it's $43,200 plus options that we had. And if you start looking at these other vehicles and opting them up for capabilities to be the same, the closest one you're going to find is the Jeep Gladiator, obviously, with a Rubicon package, and that's going to be up in that $45,000+ range. So you get into that kind of caliber for what you want, and they're all going to be about the same.
Is this a long car review?
No, so that's my car review of the Colorado right there.
Okay.
It's good.
Only 10 minutes long? I mean, I'm glad.
Well, we got sidetracked in
we
there.
did get a little sidetracked.
Side-swiped, not sidetracked.
Side-swiped. Yeah, the doors
were
ripped off of it. Okay, time now for the international TV race calendar.
Well, we've already kind of gone over the race calendar, but let's talk about some of the national
events.
I
want to talk about the race calendar.
We just did. We
do it again.
So last week was SEMA, and that's why we had Randy on with Battle of the Builders, and that'll be on TV probably in January again. This weekend is the Fort Worth Auto Show. Sunday, tomorrow, is going to be the Houston Exotic Auto Festival at 5090 Richmond, which would be a great another place to go see a lot of high-dollar exotics. You know, that festival is going to be one of the most anticipated automobile shows in southern Texas because it's going to have the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, probably going to have, a pretty large collection of Bentleys, and I hear there may be a Bugatti Veyron there as well. San Antonio Car and Truck Show is November 12th through the 15th, and everything I hear is that's still on, correct?
No.
San Antonio was canceled? Well, they haven't posted that on their site.
Of course not, because they all got fired or went home.
Okay.
Or sick with COVID.
Well, it's a dealer auto show. That one is more dealer than any of the others that we have around here. So,
and then the Muscle Car and Corvette Nationals in Rosemont, Illinois is still on at the Donald Stevens Convention Center the 21st and 22nd. Also on the 22nd is the Dub Show in Dallas. So if you want to go see a bunch of 22, 24, 28-inch wheel and tire packages, be in Dallas. Yeah, right. The Dub or the Donk Show.
All right.
And then the LA Auto Show supposedly is still on, but I can't imagine.
No, it's
in
not.
Los Angeles.
No,
they haven't
they
changed
moved
their.
it. Oh yeah, it's been announced.
Yeah, but they haven't updated their website.
Well, they may not have their website, but it's been announced.
Thank you for all of that. We appreciate it. I want to remind everybody that the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. In Wheel Time Car Show continues right after this quick break. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. The Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In in Katy returns Saturday morning, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. This fun and fabulous event attracts the best rides in town. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all in one place. The Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a 3-hour friends and family event. Loopy's will have breakfast tacos, coffee, and the best cars, all at one location. The Loopy Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Loopy founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. at Loopy's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there, too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise-in, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Show, your weekly award-winning go-to all things automotive place. Along with Mike Out of This World, Mars, King Conrad DeLong, and Jeff Zekin, I'm Don Armstrong, coming to you from Studio A in Houston, Texas. Thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We've got our next guest all lined up and ready to go. We don't have any video, but we do have audio, from what I understand. And his name is Mr. Scott Hall, and he's the Senior Vice President of Operations at SwapALease.com. Scott, you there?
I am, and I do apologize for the lack of video. I'm traveling today, so just in a spot where I'm frankly lucky to have audio right now.
Well, you know what? We're lucky to have you. That's all I can say. And all of our viewers and people that follow us are going to have to look at us instead of you this morning. And I know they'd much rather look at you because you're a much younger guy than any of us old-timers. But we really appreciate you joining us. And I wanted to talk to you today about basically the state of the industry, and more specifically, used cars. I know that you're in touch with all of that. And how is the state of the auto industry as a whole? Let's start there, because I know that the manufacturers shut down plants right after the COVID thing happened. It was really a sad time for almost every manufacturer. They didn't have people screwing together cars. And so now there's the trickle-down effect where dealerships don't have the inventory to sell. People turn to the used car market to find something, and inventory went down in the used car market. Prices went up. It was one thing after another. What is your take on today's state of the industry?
Well, I think you really outlined everything really well there in terms of what's happened in the car business so far in 2020. And of course, we're coming off several years of really, really good vehicle sales as well. So I think it's even a little bit more alarming when you drop so quickly, both with the COVID problems and COVID issues, as well as a lot of political uncertainty. However, I do think things are starting to look up again as production increases and starts to catch back up on the new car side. And of course, as you already noted, that really filters down to the used car side of the equation pretty quickly. And that will help consumers out by pushing used car values down as we move through the fourth quarter of 2020 and move into the first quarter of 2021. So
and when
it's going to become up.
Yes, I was just going to say, and when you say push used car prices down, actually, I think it's more along the lines of bringing used car prices in line to what they really are valued at today, as opposed to the inflated level of, say, a month or two ago.
You know what? I really think that's a fair way to put it as well. One of the best illustrations of this, frankly, is what we do at SwapALease is we're an online marketplace for helping people get in and out of automotive leases midstream. And we do that through a transfer process. It's all kind of signed, sealed, and delivered by the leasing company. But and the reason a lease transfer typically is the best option for a consumer is it's the most cost-effective option. And to throw a little bit more color on that, it's always possible to get out of a lease at any point in time. Just typically consumers will find themselves in a pretty serious negative equity position. And something that we've seen recently to back up what you're saying, that prices have been inflated, we're seeing people able to buy out of their leases much earlier in the lease term than what we're accustomed to. Usually in the last 4 to 6 months, people that are reasonably close to an equity position, they may owe a little bit, but usually somewhere within reason. We're seeing equity positions presently in the 12 to 18 month remaining range, and that's something I've never seen before. I've been in the business now 20 plus years in leasing alone, and a little bit longer my complete automotive career. So it's something we've never seen. So absolutely in agreement. Inflated is probably a good term, but we are seeing the tide start to turn and move the other direction to help out consumers.
And the manufacturers kind of caused their own issues, not only just because COVID had stopped production, but the manufacturers also put on some huge incentives during COVID to keep their sales running. So with all of that happening is where the depletion of inventory happened, which is good for that customer in a lease that's looking to get out, because the values are higher now that inventories are coming back up in the dealerships lots. You're going to see a lot of transfer of vehicles. People are going to be getting into something new again, and that's going to feed the used car market again with more vehicles.
I absolutely agree with that. No doubt about it. As new car production ramps back up, we're definitely seeing. Starting to see the beginning of the used car prices coming down as an offshoot of that. And one of the other interesting things that we've seen so far in 2020, we're coming off again several really good years of vehicle sales, and we're also seeing a lot of really high lease penetration. And just to be clear, lease penetration is the percentage of vehicles that are leased out of the annual vehicle sales in the United States. And it's been hovering right around 30% over the last several years.
Wow.
And so far in 2020, that number's dipped a little bit to 25%, but we're starting to see some more signs of life and seeing that.
But even at 25 or 30%, that I'm kind of surprised by that. I totally understand where you're coming from, but I did not know it was that high, 25 to 30%. So clearly, leasing a car is very popular.
Oh, absolutely. And it's really interesting when you dig down even a little bit deeper than that, is there's always been a lot of leasing going on in some of the more luxury makes, your BMWs, your Mercedes, your Cadillacs, things like that. But really where you've seen the growth over the last several years is the more everyman vehicles, your Mazdas, your Fords, your Chevys, and things such as that. So it really has been quite a change. And we envision, in fact, and of course, I guess I'm a biased source being at SwapALease for that matter, but as vehicles get more and more expensive, lease payments can be made to be very attractive for consumers. And we believe there'll even be some additional growth in leasing in terms of lease penetration moving forward, moving north of that 30% rate.
And do you find that penetration rate regionally changes, where California and New York is going to be a much higher lease rate versus Houston or Texas, which is going to be lower, sometimes because of the state laws regarding leasing?
You're making a great point. Leasing definitely does have some hot spots within the United States. The greater New York City area, for one, would be kind of the A market for leasing, if you will. California area. Southern California, or pardon me, it's not Southern California, but Southern Florida is another large leasing area. Another one a lot of people overlook is Greater Detroit because of all the manufacturers and automotive financing going on up there. There's a lot of employees that lease vehicles. So now that doesn't mean there isn't leasing going on elsewhere, but there's definitely packets of leasing throughout the United States, especially in those areas I just noted.
Scott, what is the average lease price? Do you have that kind of figure? I mean, is it a $35,000 car, a $50,000 car? What's the average car that's being leased these days?
You know what? I don't have that number specifically. Let me give you an educated guess on that.
All right.
Right now, the average vehicle price on a new vehicle is right around $35,000. Kind of teeters up and down from that is the last number that I saw. And leasing, again, kind of tips towards the more expensive vehicles in general. Doesn't mean that cheaper vehicles can't be leased. So I would take an educated guess that it would be somewhere into the $45,000 to $50,000 MSRP range would be where you'd see the average lease price if you looked at the market as a whole from top to bottom.
And what is the average length of a lease? Is it 3 years?
It's right around 3 years. You do see a lot of 39-month leases out there, and that's a way to just kind of bring the payment down a little bit more for consumers by increasing the denominator on the lease term. But 36 months is very much the standard and right around that 3-year period. And in general, it works really well for leasing, too, because most cars anymore are covered for at least a 3-year warranty period. Some of the luxury vehicles even longer. So people like that from a leasing standpoint, that they're not going to be stuck out there with a vehicle that they're not going to own, that they may have to put a bunch of work into. And that's one of the nice things. It kind of mates up with leasing and on new vehicles and the warranty periods.
Do you find most leases are like a personal lease, or how much of the lease is more of a business lease?
There's definitely a significant amount of business leasing going on, but the consumer leasing is still the mainstay.
Okay.
It's also somewhat hard to track because there's a lot of people that do get car allowances, and it may appear as a consumer lease on the front end, but even though it may be being paid by a company ultimately.
Okay.
And so what about mileage? I know that a lot of people will actually go with the regular lease at 36,000 miles for 3 years, but do you find that most people buy extra miles up front?
That's a really good question presently. You really kind of see three different mileage types when it comes to a lease or deviations. You see a lot of low mileage leasing out there that's been advertised, and that's typically based on 10,000 miles a year. What you've noted at 36,000 miles would be your standard 12,000, and then anything above a 12,000 typically would be 15,000 miles on an annual basis, even though you could write a lease for more. You do see those are kind of your three mainstays. The 12,000 has been it's kind of been the main one for years and years at this point. I always recommend that if people do need more mileage, they go ahead and do it up front and try to, instead of paying for it after the fact, because it becomes more expensive. But the most interesting thing right now is more and more people work from home, and they're kind of, things are kind of in chaos. We're seeing people use a lot less miles, and I believe that a lot of people will continue working from home even as we move away from COVID. So if I were making a bet on this, I think we'll actually see the average amount of lease miles go down as we move forward over the next couple of years.
And what is your thoughts about what we can expect, say, for the actually 2021? Let's just use 2021.
Short term,
Go ahead with us with this for 2021. Do you see the car sales to hold steady now that it's back up to almost to pre-COVID levels? Of course, it won't reach that total sales number for the end of the year because we've been wiped out for 5-6 months with numbers. But what do you think is going to happen next year? What do you envision for the car industry and leasing and that sort of thing?
Well, one, I want to be an optimist. Assuming there's no significant downturn on the COVID front, I think that 2021 is going to be a very good year for business in general, especially for the car business as they catch up and supplies come back and meet normal levels. I think there's going to be plenty of demand for vehicles as we move into 21. I think we'll see lease penetration rates return to at least that 30% rate and possibly even move up a little bit in 2021 as more consumers need cars. So I think it's going to be a very bullish. I'm very bullish on 2021 from a car industry perspective.
And what about the electric vehicle surge that's about to take place? That we know most people hear rumblings of it, but they don't understand the extent of which manufacturers are moving and how quickly they're moving toward an electric vehicle shift. And what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that people are going to start leasing electric vehicles, or do you think it's going to stay traditionally into gasoline propulsion?
Well, I still think that number one, I'm a proponent of electric vehicles, and I think electric vehicles in many cases meet about 90 to 95% of your typical consumer's needs. Obviously, if you're somebody that does a lot of long distance traveling, maybe it's not best for you. But for your average commuter and family man, I think an electric car makes a lot of sense. They can be a little bit more expensive up front, but of course, the advantage there is the gains you make on the back end in terms of no fuel and less maintenance. But believe it or not, electric cars have been good lease candidates now for years. One of the reasons behind that is there's been some questioning of the technology, and the consumer's logic has been, hey, I think I'm going to lease this thing just in case when the new and better one comes out, I want to get that as opposed to hold on to this older technology. So leasing really mates up well with electric cars because, people are going to, it's almost like a very good analogy for that is, people want to have the latest and greatest iPhone every couple of years. It's kind of almost the same thing with electric cars, and that's why leasing is a good way to match that demand with consumers.
And is Tesla a pretty highly leased vehicle?
I don't know the exact lease penetration on Tesla, but we do see a very high amount of leasing done on Teslas, and we see a lot of Tesla activity on the SwapALease marketplace.
And their residual value holds pretty well, which is the
residual.
Yeah, the expected future value of the vehicle at the time of lease. Yeah, how does that play out?
We've generally seen residual values be very strong on Teslas specifically. I think one of the things that helps out with the Teslas is that they're still trying to catch up with demand as well, as great as their demand is. And also, let's not overlook that they're able to do a lot of updates and what have you from a software standpoint moving forward. So even if you do get a couple-year-old Tesla, in many cases, it's very easy to bring that up to the current standards through an online update.
Which is real important because, like, over where I live, I'm 150 miles away from the closest Tesla place at all. And, we've got 2 over there now. But again, they can get a lot of stuff done there without having to come to a dealership or whatever you call the Tesla facility. It's not.
Yeah, because basically they do the upgrades over the internet on your car.
Yeah.
Yep.
So where are you traveling to?
I'm actually SwapALease is based in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's my home base. And heading over to Indianapolis this morning, I've got a young one who plays lacrosse, and we got a lacrosse tournament. Thankfully, it's not normal November weather today. It's actually pretty nice out.
Oh, how cool is that? Lacrosse is a fun sport. You get to throw a ball and whack somebody with a stick.
That sums up my kid pretty well.
Scott, it's great to talk to you, and thanks so much for joining us today. Good luck in the lacrosse game, and enjoy your family because it doesn't last long. The kids will be gone before you know it, as you know, and we really appreciate you joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me on, gentlemen. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Me too. Thank you. Okay, that's Scott Hall. He is the vice president of SwapALease.
Nick Phillips, he used to be the president of the Texas Auto Writers, but he was real big into the EVs. When you were talking about that, I thought of him. He leased them specifically for that reason. For one thing, he didn't want to have to deal. I mean, he got some of the first ones that came out. He didn't want to deal with the batteries. The technology was changing. He got into the Cadillac when Cadillac had a really pretty car that was an EV. It just didn't sell. It was overpriced. Anyway, he went through that, but that was his logic, was that he could keep up with the technology and the expense and the maintenance. That's right, and not get stuck with it until things really get developed out there in the market.
And they're pretty close to it right now.
It's getting much better.
A lot of people are releasing EVs and doing a pretty good job, and they're not a problem-prone powertrain, let's say.
He never had any problem with the vehicles that he had while he had them.
Fast.
But again, he turned them over. But I mean, he liked driving vehicles anyway, so. That just worked out well for him.
Hey, I'd like to remind you that you can always get a hold of us through Facebook, our website, You can email us, info@inwheeltime.com. And we appreciate you joining us today here on the In Wheel Time radio program. Time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. And I know that you mentioned to us about an hour and 15 minutes ago what you were going to talk about. But guess what? I forgot what it was.
Well, muscle cars can, to a large degree, trace their roots back to Charles Kettering, who was an American inventor and engineer and businessman, and he holds 186 patents. He was the founder of Delco Remy, AC Delco.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the 20s, and he was the head of research from General Motors from 20 to 1947. In 1918, Kettering designed something called the Bug. It was a 300-pound missile with a little propeller on the front of it that was a torpedo. One of the first guided missiles ever out. It was barely used during World War I.
Is that it?
I thought that was a little airplane. I was wondering why you had this airplane.
No, that's a torpedo. You can see it's kind of sitting on a tray, and it fly out, and they just release it and using it as a weapon of war. But that was in his head. So kind of one of the first guided missiles had like a 40 horsepower engine on it. But one of the first shots of the arms race in horsepower that led to the hot rods of the 50s was eventually established muscle cars. The image of the American automobile was fired by Charles Kettering. He had been working on high compression engines since World War I, believing that raising the engine's compression ratio allowed the engine to extract more energy from the fuel. Most engines back in the in the 40s and 50s were not much more than like 7-to-1 compression, and Kettering was working around a 12-to-1 compression ratio. But the problem with it was the gasoline back then didn't have enough octane to work in those high compression designs.
That's why all the girls called him Hot Rod. Hot Rod Kettering.
So in the late 20s, Kettering developed tetraethyl lead as an octane-boosting fuel additive. And when they added the tetraethyl to the fuel, the octane rose enough where he could run those high-compression engines in it. And there's problems with lead in the fuel, and that's all a thing of the past, and they've come up with new chemistry now. But Kettering had developed this overhead valve V8 back in the 40s, but as the overhead valve V8, nobody had jumped on it until finally Oldsmobile raised their hand and said it was originally called the Kettering V8, but they couldn't mark it as the Kettering V8. So in 1948, Oldsmobile raised their hand. In 1948, Oldsmobile raised their hand, introducing the 303 cubic inch Rocket V8 that kind of dominated NASCAR for quite a while as well. So that's where the overhead valve V8 came from Kettering. But, pretty genius man to be able to do all of those things over time. He had lots and lots of pretty wonderful patents that were assigned to him. Again,
Hot Rod Kettering.
Hot Rod Kettering.
Well, that's an interesting story.
Yep, I thought so.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
With my typical Oldsmobile connection.
Yeah, we noticed that.
Wow.
But that's okay. I didn't realize that he was Mr. Hot Rod. By the way, my grandmother on my dad's side, her name was Ethel.
I had an aunt named Ethel.
And Jeff had an aunt named Ethel. And
Mike's got somebody named Tetra.
That would make sense. Yes. Tetra. Or is it Tetris?
Tetris, yeah, that's where you stack the blocks on a video game.
She didn't fit anywhere.
She didn't fit anywhere. Thank you, Jeff.
Boom. Thank you.
We need the rim shot. You got to get some sound effects.
I know.
And then leave it over here so I can touch it.
No, don't put it.
He's not touching the stream deck. Time now for some of the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Ford Motor Company said yesterday it expects to sell 100,000 cars and trucks equipped with the company's new hands-free driving system in the first full year of availability. The catch is only the system hardware will be installed. The software will not be ready for nearly another year, according to Ford.
So it's a soft hands-free driving.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't let go of the steering wheel. It's really not there, but it is there.
The automaker's Active Drive Assist will be offered first on the redesigned F-150.
ADA, wonderful name for
a
system.
The new Mustang Mach-E electric crossover, both of which will go on sale later this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much later?
I think 21. I don't think
it says his later this year.
Yeah, well.
But the feature will not be activated until the third quarter of next year. So they're going
if
to start.
You buy one early that has the system in it, they can activate it later.
Yeah, that's apparently.
Whoa. Hold on tight.
Because the activation, apparently, you're still working on that software a little bit. You know, if I were going to buy an active system like that, I think I would hold off on the first issuance of the software. Active Drive Assist, or ADA, as Conrad put it, will be standard on selected high-end models and available as an option on others, priced from around $1,500.
Yikes.
Well, that's not bad. $1,500 for, but
soon to be recalled.
Soon to be recalled after crashes and, you know, people die because they left their hands off the steering wheel. Well, I told you my experience with that.
Reading a book or
no, it wasn't that. The problem was that the car didn't know what to do when there was construction or some variation.
Of the lines in the road, which is what it uses for the active driving.
So it went from lines in the road to buttons. Okay? You know, the yellow buttons that they glue down on the road?
Oh, I love that. That's a setup for automotive history, but thank you. We're going to talk about that in automotive history.
But I had one that was like that. You know, that it would kind of bounce in between the lines a little bit.
Squirrel.
Anyway,
Anyway, so I'm driving down the Gulf Freeway with a hands-free system. Cadillac had it.
The CT6.
And a very nice car.
Beautiful car.
And when everything worked great, it worked great in the hands-free thing. But when the freeway lines went to buttons to go around a construction zone,
everything that worked great didn't.
The car continued straight ahead like it was going into the construction zone because it didn't understand the buttons. All it knew were the lines. It was looking for lines.
And Don was smart enough to grab the steering wheel and drive the car, which is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, and hit the brake.
Yeah, but if you're taking a nap, that's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, well, you don't take a nap, and they don't suggest that you take a nap. The technology isn't quite there yet. But again, it's the infrastructure.
Right.
That's
the problem.
George Skelton says, should a person with ADA drive a car with ADA?
Yeah.
Thanks, George. You're always great for a couple of wonderful comments.
Well, I love George. By the way, the death of Sean Connery triggered a actual wonderful post from George on Sean Connery and George's dad.
And the relationship they had.
Yes, and it was a wonderful story, and then I reposted it on my Facebook, and it's gotten lots of compliments.
And we have it on In Wheel Time's Facebook as well.
Yeah. Mainly because of the car and the car thing that
the relationship that with Sean Connery and cars and Sean Connery and George's dad and the theater downtown
Metropolitan Theater. Yeah, great stuff.
Is that still there, the Metropolitan Theater?
Unfortunately, no. Well, there was one down there that they were using for an event venue, and I don't know. George would be able to tell us, and I know that he will. Yes, exactly. So it's time now to take a little break, and we will be back with more of the In Wheel Time Car Show right after this. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. The Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In in Katy returns Saturday morning, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. This fun and fabulous event attracts the best rides in town. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all in one place. The Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a 3-hour friends and family event. Loopy's will have breakfast tacos, coffee, and the best cars, all at one location. The Loopy Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Loopy founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. at Loopy's in Katy. The In-Wheel Time Car Show will be there, too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise-in, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Show, Houston's award-winning car talk show. Coming up, a visit with Kristen Shaw and Jim Nelson from the Texas Auto Writers Association. We'll be talking about the winners of last month's Texas Truck Rodeo. Inside our new car showroom, the Hyundai Sonata, we'll give you an in-depth review. Plus, we'll have This Week in Automotive History and the stories making auto use headlines. It's all just ahead on today's In Wheel Time Car Show for Saturday, November 7th, 2020. Howdy. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. Jeff Zekin sitting right off camera doing our video work for us this morning. We appreciate him. And we appreciate you joining us as well. It's a beautiful day in Houston, Texas town, and it's going to be a great weekend. And no hurricanes and no bad weather, so we can get out and enjoy
Beautiful
what
out
we've
there.
got. It truly is. All right, so as I mentioned, our guest right now via Zoom is Kristen Shaw.
Jim Nelson.
Jim Nelson. One of the two. Somebody's here and somebody's not.
Jim is here.
Hi, Jim.
Kristen is trying to get here.
Is that what, Jim? What is that back there? Is that a wrecked car, or what do you got behind your head?
No, that was one of the new technical obstacles in this year's off-road course at the Texas Truck Rodeo.
So it's literally in the weeds.
No, actually, it was behind some weeds, but
got it.
It was doing the, I think that was about the 40 or 42 degree hill climb.
Oh.
That's your new Defender. That's your Land Rover Defender going up that hill.
So if
made it look real easy. I tell you, glad to have Defender back in the United States.
If you hit it at like 65 miles an hour, how far could you fly?
The problem with that is we put the big water hole just in front of the climb. I don't have pictures of that. I wish I did, because what you saw was this horrendous splash. And then whether it was the Defender or it was the Ram 1500 TRX or what have you, climbing our way out of the hole and then charging up against the side of that hill and blasting over the top. A couple of our members said that was absolutely the most fun they've ever had in their life. And I see Kristen on the screen. Have we got her there?
We do. Hi, Kristen.
Hey there. Hey, everybody. How are you?
Very well, thank you, and thank you for joining the In Wheel Time show this morning. It's good to have you. Kristen is the president of the Texas Auto Writers Association, and a little background: the Texas Auto Writers Association holds a couple of main events for manufacturers and auto writers to review. Well, depends on the time of year, but in the fall it's the Texas Truck Rodeo, and in the spring it is the
Texas Auto Roundup.
And so they divide it up that way. So because there's so many vehicles, we got trucks and SUVs, and then we got cars in the spring.
Right. You want some of them to go off-road, and some of them you don't need to. In fact, we were talking to Richard Tomlin a little bit earlier. He's up at Eagle Canyon, where the Auto Roundup was held for several years. And it was pretty cool to see what they've done up there. But this is the Truck Rodeo.
Yep.
This is the big one.
The big one, yeah. And this, obviously, the manufacturers vie for the Texas Truck of the Year award, which is a great, big, wonderful trophy. And I know in the past several years, Ram has won that. And before we get into all of that, I did want to mention the fact that Ford and Chevrolet and General Motors were always invited, as all of the manufacturers are, to enter in this event. And Ford and General Motors and Chevrolet decided that they did not want to enter the event.
Yeah, this last year and this year, they pretty well stopped doing any of those kind of events. They don't participate in anybody's event like that anymore.
So let me ask you, Kristen, how do you actually award the Texas Truck of the Year when 3 of the main competitors aren't present? How do you do that?
Well, I think we have to do the best we can. I think this year everybody would have participated, but the pandemic really threw a wrench in the wheels. We've been talking to GM and Ford extensively. They do events with us, but in the last year for their marketing dollars, they've pulled back on some of the association events. And this year they just didn't want to do anything that wasn't directly run by them for liability reasons. They had to make sure that everything was safe. But you know, the truth is that Ram has been doing very well with the 1500, whether GM and Ford participate or not. I mean, the 1500 was awarded Luxury Car of the Year. They've been offered lots of trophies besides ours. So I still feel pretty confident that the Ram 1500 would do well.
It's very similar to the NACTOY, where they narrow it down. You know, if you get down and look at the finalists in the NACTOY Awards, a lot of times, well, in fact, they don't. If you won last year or you were in the running last year, you're not even allowed to compete this year. So if Ram won 1500, won the NACTOY Truck of the Year last year, they're not even allowed to compete this year unless they've got something significantly different. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of similar on the same grounds, other than they're allowed, but they're not there. But you evaluate what you have to work with.
Right. Well, you know, the other thing too, and discussed this with a friend of mine, is the fact that we all, as auto riders, generally speaking, get to drive all of the vehicles that are at the event at some point during the year. So you've got a pretty good idea as to, you know, we do get Fords to drive in the press fleet. We do get Chevys and GMCs, along with Rams and the Nissan and the Toyota, all of the big full-size trucks. We all get a chance to drive those. And so we do have in the back of our mind, although the truck may not be at the Texas Auto Writers event, we do have a pretty good idea about all of the entries that would be in competition with one another. So we got a pretty good idea. And I have to tell you that me personally, right now anyway, I think that the Ram 1500 is the winner hands down, and for multiple reasons. And I think that my biggest thing is the interior of their trucks. And you guys may disagree with me, and please do, but I think that Ram offers the highest end of any interior, especially in trucks. But I think that you could probably take that Ram Laramie Longhorn edition and put it up against almost any car, truck, SUV, whatever you want to, and think that, my God, this is a Rolls-Royce interior here.
So can we talk about the winners of the truck rodeo?
No.
Apparently not.
Well, I want to talk about that. I mean, do you not agree with me? I mean, let's face it.
Yes.
The
answer is yes.
The engines head to head, they're all very similar when it comes to V8 engines. I mean, you can pick those things, all those things as far as you want to. But I mean, let's face it, they all have similar offerings in the engine category. Same thing with transmissions, suspensions, all of the options that are available. So what it really drills down to, really, if you want to get down to it, is interiors and design.
Which is where most people are in their truck. They make a lot of their decisions based on the interior of the vehicle.
And that's not to take away any of the design of the exteriors, and each are individual unto themselves, and you either like it.
They should be.
And the other thing is that I think that, you know, the Ford owner is going to like Fords. The GM owner is going to like
brand
GM.
Loyalty, absolutely.
Yeah, the brand loyalty is
so
huge.
What do the Texas Auto Writers think about the interiors?
I think the interior of the Ram is spectacular. Now, that said, if you're a truck buyer, that may or may not be important to you. It depends on what kind of truck buyer you are. You know, you may be interested in a work truck, and you might be like, well, I don't need all this stuff. But if you're looking for a really nice luxury drive, then that has it going for it. That said, I think the new F-150 is going to make some inroads into attracting some people from other brands because they've got a lot of really cool new features on it. And, from a cycle perspective, I mean, they're just now doing some of those test drives. So it might not have even been ready for the rodeo, but I think next year it's going to make some impact. Also, the GMC Sierra, I think, did a lot last year with camera angles and towing options. So if that's important to you, that may be why you choose that truck.
While we're at it, let's just remind our viewers that we have posted the winners on our webpage, inwheeltime.com. So if you don't catch it as we're talking here as to who won each category and the grand prizes, you can find that article at inwheeltime.com. Mike, shall we go through the winners here? Maybe Kristen can tell us the top winning vehicles.
Yeah, we need to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
All right, where do you want to begin?
Well, you got a lot of this.
Start at the bottom and work your way up.
Well, but there's a whole lot of categories down there. Yeah. So
let's just do the top three in the categories, if you don't mind.
I don't have the list in front of me, so Jim can actually help me with that.
All right, Jim.
She was running late.
This morning.
I've been working all day. I have a new job at The Drive as the weekend editor, so my mind's been on the articles I've been writing. So thanks,
Real
Jim.
job. That's scary.
Yeah.
Let's. This was the 2020 Texas Truck Rodeo, and obviously we've spent some time talking about Ram, and Ram was the winner this year.
For the Truck of Texas, right?
The lead on that would have been the Ram 1500 TRX. This thing is a beast with manners and everything else that goes with it. It's the niftiest truck I have ever driven. I would say that Dave Alsoff, who's the head of Ram Communication, grabbed me at one point and said, let's take it out on the off-road course. I says, I don't have any problem with their off-road course. I want to find out how it drives on the road. Yeah. So we took it out on our we had a 16-mile road course out on the city and highway streets, but I took us out about 50 miles or so and back and was just blown away. I had to keep looking at myself and around my on either side and down over that big hood to remind myself I was driving a truck.
Wow.
I would make one point in particular that pertains here to Texas. So many of us are enamored with those new big screens that are up there on the dash and have more features, functions, and deals to do with than you can think of. And here in Texas, we got a ton of bright sun. And my biggest complaint of so many vehicles is when the sun is coming through that windshield, it glares off of that screen. The Ram people put this son of a gun exactly where it needed to be, that you get no glare on that screen, whether you're running into the sun or running away from the sun. So small detail, but it can be awfully important. Kristen, what do you think?
Well, I think the Bilstein shocks make a big difference on that TRX. I mean, we've all seen the videos of that TRX catching air, and I didn't get to experience that yet, but boy, am I looking forward to that. All the members really enjoyed driving the TRX. We were the first group to drive it, our first media group, and people were so excited. I mean, it's also very clever. It's got those little T-Rex Easter eggs under the hood and in the console, the T-Rex eating the Velociraptor. I mean, there's no doubt who they're going for.
Okay, so before we run out of time, some of the other categories. So, like, that was the big one, the Truck of Texas. But there's also something over on the SUV side.
Yeah?
Yes.
You want to talk about the Durango?
Yes. I can't talk much about it because drive impressions are embargoed through November 30th. But we did have a blast with the Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat in particular, and I can't say too much more, but it did win SUV of Texas. So,
but it was the Hellcat motor, not the 392.
Right, the Hellcat motor.
Interesting.
Horsepower wins. Yeah, I understand that the Toyota RAV4 TRD won compact SUV of Texas.
It did?
That's right. For the second year in a row, and that little vehicle is very capable. It's more capable, I think, than more people give it credit for. It's not just a grocery getter. You can take that camping, overlanding. That's a fun vehicle.
What about in the midsize pickup? That's turning out to be fairly competitive.
Jim, you want to take that one?
There's an awful lot of product out there in the midsize pickup truck, and there's a lot of discussion as to whether Jeep Gladiator is truly a midsize pickup truck, but it is. And so obviously it dominated the category in several people's minds in terms of the voting. It was judged to be the midsize pickup truck of Texas, for this year. Got lots of votes in lots of categories. Looking at the off-road pickup truck of Texas, that was the Ram TRX again, the 1500. The Ram people were doing really well. They won the Ram heavy-duty category, or the heavy-duty pickup truck of Texas with the Laramie Night Edition. So they did very well there. And they also won the luxury pickup truck of Texas with the Ram 1500 Limited Longhorn Edition. I spoke a little bit about the Land Rover earlier, the vehicle you see behind me. It was judged to be the luxury sport utility SUV vehicle of the year by the writers attending. There was a lot of excitement about that again as Land Rover returned to the U.S. And then our friends at Hyundai brought the Palisade, the new calligraphy edition, was really popular. And man, to see that fly over some of those technical obstacles, it was judged to be the midsize SUV of Texas by the media attending. So it was a good event.
Was there a lot of writing on the calligraphy version of that car?
Yeah, we were looking to see if they wrote us messages under the seat, but we didn't find anything.
Vote for me. Vote for me.
So
subliminal calligraphy.
Yeah. So any other standouts, Jim? Kristen?
I think.
Well, we did have the Rolls-Royce Cullinan in there, and while it didn't win one of the top awards, I think mostly because of the price, that sure was fun to take out on the off-road course. The Cullinan is very capable, and Emmy Hall won the Rebel Rally with it last year, so they're willing to get it dirty, even though it's.
You don't think about a Rolls, you don't think about a Rolls Royce like that.
I like dirty. So let me ask you, how much was the Cullinan?
$426,000.
I wonder if you could lease that.
Yeah.
You create a
Do you want a house or do you want a vehicle?
Yeah.
Those are your choices.
Yeah.
Jeez, okay.
So Jim, let me ask, or let me ask both of you. So we saw that Ram TRX in Dallas at the State Fair when they debuted it a couple of years ago. And it was pretty impressive when it looked. Does it live up to all the hype?
I think it exceeds the hype. They added lots of small touches inside and out to that vehicle above and beyond what we saw at State Fair a couple of years ago. I know, first of all, we kept it kind of a secret that it was coming.
Right.
And so as I wrote in a Facebook post, I said as we're unloading this morning, and I had pictures of the blue one backing out of the truck, there are going to be members who chose not to attend this year's rodeo, and they wish they did. I was just blown away as I watched it back down the ramp, and we put it into park position. Small story, there's a small church that holds services in the venue where we were running the event, and as people were coming from the parking lot to go to church, numbers of the men were taking a hard left to the parking lot and saying, "Is that the new TRX?
Got to go check it out.
Really? You guys are going to drive it?" And the answer was, "Of course we are."
That is pretty cool. First ones to drive
Amen.
it. Yeah, amen.
Amen.
Yeehaw.
One last comment. Obviously there's always a funny story or two that goes on with these things. We always make sure we have a couple of tow straps around. Because though we try and design the course so that we don't get in trouble, and we have 10 spotters out there helping our members drive and not get in trouble, we have the tow straps just in case we have to tow a vehicle out of a hole. At one point, the phone rings, and it was the county constable who was parked across the street on the soft shoulder of the road in his not-to-be-named pickup truck. And he said, "Can somebody come pull me off the shoulder here? It collapsed, and I'm down in the gulch." So we had to send another not-to-be-named vehicle and a tow strap over there on the road, on the highway just outside the venue, and pull him out of the hole.
And what's the name of the venue where it was?
We were at
was at the
Star Hill Ranch in
Right.
Bee Cave, Texas. That is a movie studio, oh, by the way. And if you spend any time watching some of the Walking Dead series, you will recognize the buildings and land around Star Hill Ranch in some of the scenes.
So some of the Texas auto riders volunteered as extras?
Maybe.
You can do that if you want to. I think Star Hill Ranch people actually have some connection with the studios. They are here in Austin, or were back in Austin a week or so ago filming again. So I have no idea. I know I didn't go apply. I look dead enough as is. Makeup would be cheap for me, I think.
Some of us wouldn't need much.
Well, I was just going to
Zombies
say,
and trucks.
yeah,
It's all good.
makeup may be cheap, but it takes a lot of it, Jim. I love you, though.
One last point, I want to, in full disclosure, first of all, I want to thank Kristen for taking charge this year. She just did a bang-up job against the issues with COVID and everything else. But I also want to point out to your buddy, to your guys' right, Mike Mars. He's our immediate past president of the Texas Auto Writers. In every organization, there's always somebody who knows all the stuff that nobody ever wrote down. And the phone lines just burned up between Austin and Houston that last 10 days or so with, hey, Mike, how do we do this?
Yeah. Well, Mike does that on the show with us all the time.
So, Mike, thank you very much. We pulled off a really humdinger of an event in a very difficult year.
So you guys are now. Was there voting this year for the new president, or Kristen? Are you going to continue on?
I've got another year in my tenure, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a super interesting year with the pandemic and trying to figure out how to do things a little differently. But we have a really positive vibe going, and the members are invested, and we are making it fun.
What are you going to look forward to for the spring roundup?
World peace.
World peace. Yes, absolutely. But obviously, I mean,
some interesting ideas, and we think we're going to introduce, just like we did for this event, some interesting features. We're going to have some more interesting features for the spring event as well. So lots of excitement coming.
Looking forward to it. Hope I can make that one.
I hope so too. We had planned to have it at the Texas Motor Speedway this past April, but of course we had to cancel that. So we're looking at doing something like that in the spring. So stay tuned.
Oh, we'll do it.
Well, thank you both very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And I know, Kristen, the typewriter's waiting, so get going, girl.
I know it. Thanks, man.
Thanks
you guys.
Jim, thank you. Love you. See you guys later. All right. Yeah, you do the same. All right. It's good to talk to them, and lots of winners. And I know that Ram is worthy of the champion trophy this year once again for the Texas Truck.
And Jim is a contributor to our Facebook page as well. We see him post on our Facebook page with some regularity.
Jim is a fabulous rider. I really like his riding style. All right, time to move on here on the In Wheel Time Car Show, and time now for our car review for this hour. Had a chance to drive the 2020 Hyundai Sonata. It comes in 3 trim levels: blue, SEL, and limited.
Oh, I thought you were going to say blue, red, and white.
Blue's a trim level?
Blue's a trim level. Yeah.
Okay.
I got the limited. This is a mid-size sedan, completely redesigned for 2020. And there it is. Exterior features: shark-like snoot with a sexy grill. Look at it.
Do you look up those phrases to enhance your...
Those things are always floating around in this sick mind of mine. It has a really sleek rear end with fender-to-fender lighting. And it also has a solar roof panel built right into it.
Oh, that's smart.
It is. It's very good. Chrome trim that divides the hood and the front fenders. A very unique... You've never seen anything like it.
And it also integrates into the LEDs and the headlights. Looks cool. I've seen a couple on the highway.
You know, to say that to somebody, you go, are you kidding me? They've made it stand out like that. But, man, I'm telling you, what a wonderful design element. It makes it totally different. Now, you tell me that doesn't look, that rear end, the rear tail end of the car, the back bumper and the hood with the if it doesn't give you just a little hint of the Oldsmobile Tornado
bringing
back in the
sexy
day.
back.
Bringing sexy back, exactly. What I liked about it, the cutting-edge design elements that are sexy and gives the car a standout appearance without being ugly. How's that?
No, I think the car looks wonderful.
I do too. Interior highlights: modern design, dash with ultra-wide touchscreen, top center of the console, a digital instrument cluster, easy-to-use controls, passive phone charger on the center console.
You like that?
I do. Yeah. Cargo room is in. Every car should have that.
Yeah, it should
you shouldn't have to plug
it in
standard.
Anymore. Everybody's got a cell phone.
And the other thing is that they need to integrate Bluetooth with that, because if you want to integrate your phone via Bluetooth into the car, you got to plug it in.
Go through a dance.
You got to plug it in.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, for most of them.
That's
what I liked about it, well screwed together, great layout design. What could use improvement? I put down here 0, Z-E-R-O, 0.
Sounds like they did it right.
They did it right. Engine, 192 horsepower hybrid powertrain, which is a combination of gas and electric. 6-speed automatic transmission. Okay, miles per gallon. You sitting down? City.
Should I stand up?
Oh, stand up.
No, I don't want to. They don't want to see my legs.
I was going to say something I'm not going to. City, 45 miles per gallon city.
What?
51 highway for combined of 47. I got 46.8 miles per gallon.
No kidding.
Over 455.8 miles.
And that's a gasoline direct injected turbo 4-cylinder.
But it's
a hybrid. It's the hybrid model. Yes. Now, I have to tell you that I am all in on this car. I'm all in on this one. What I liked about it, got plenty of pep, plus the mileage. We keeping you awake? This is the third time I've caught you yawning over there. What could use improvement? I had to dream something up, and that would be
That's scary.
Sport Vision with a horsepower bump. But
Okay.
why? But that's not what this car is about. This car is about comfort and mileage, and they do it
value.
so well, and value. Ride and handling smooth, but with a European hint of handling to it. Base trim price. Now, we're talking about this hybrid version. They do make a standard gasoline version as well, but we're not talking about that. This is the hybrid version we're talking about. Base trim price, $35,300. Price as tested, well, there are no options listed, okay? No options. It's all in at this trim level. Base price, if you want the gasoline version of it, is $23,600. The non-hybrid, the stripper model. The hybrid starts at $27,750, but mine was the top of the line limited for $35,300.
That's
$35,300.
That's actually a good price point for.
Are you kidding me? I mean, that to me, that's pretty awesome. Okay, so as far as
for 40 miles a gallon plus, yeah, that's pretty awesome.
46.8, sir, is what I got.
And for
Honda Insight, $28,340. These are the base prices. Toyota Avalon Hybrid, $37,000. Honda Accord Hybrid for $25,470. Spend the extra money. Go and test drive the car. I think that you will truly be impressed by everything about this car. You know,
and you're not talking about the range anxiety.
No.
That you use.
No.
That a lot of people, not just you, but a lot of people have with the EVs, because they just haven't got quite to that point yet to where you can eliminate that.
Right.
But the hybrid will.
This has got it all going for it, I'm telling you. I suggest that if you're looking for a four-door sedan, that you plan on spending $30,000, $35,000, get at least a test drive in this car, and you're going to go.
46 miles to a gallon is remarkable.
Yeah. It truly is.
Particularly if you're going to if you're keeping the vehicle for 10 years, like a lot of people do, then you're going to recoup the extra to get hybrid.
And in a luxurious mid-size car.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're not driving around in some little smart car.
I'm a fan. I will tell you that. National Events Calendar. Do you happen to have something like that titled over there in your little stack of papers?
Yeah, but we've already gone through it. But we can.
He keeps saying that.
Well, we did.
But remember, this is a 2.5-hour show. Probably the people that are watching now weren't watching 2 hours
But one
ago.
thing I would like to mention, and that is San Antonio's, and I don't think I did this last week, Toyota gave $500,000 to the San Antonio school districts, trying to help them purchase Chromebooks and internet hotspots.
You did mention that.
I did. And the cool thing is, this is just a pure donation because Toyota, they have production there in San Antonio. And not only did they give them $500,000 for Chromebooks for students in low-income areas, they're also going to park buses with internet broadband internet access in those areas, so all of those Chromebooks can hit that internet access there in town and help the education. Pretty genius on Toyota's part, even though it's not automotive related, it's very community related. When you look at how integrated so many of these automotive companies are into their communities, it speaks well for them.
Okay.
All righty.
That it? Yeah, it was.
Yes, that was it.
Okay. Hey, I want to remind everybody that the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. And the In Wheel Time Car Show will continue right after this quick break. Stay with us.
The Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In in Katy returns Saturday morning, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. This fun and fabulous event attracts the best rides in town. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all in one place. The Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a 3-hour friends and family event. Loopy's will have breakfast tacos, coffee, and the best cars, all at one location. The Loopy Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Loopy founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. at Loopy's in Katy. The In Wheel Time Car Show will be there, too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise-in, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild to wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com.
This is the award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Today coming to you from the confines of Studio A in Houston, Texas. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. Jeff Seekin is off in the corner where he should be. We really appreciate you joining us today. We've had a good show so far, and I think that you're really going to enjoy our next guest. His name is Bryant Blakemore, and he is with a group called the Hooptie X Racing Series. Bryant, good morning to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for having me back on the show.
Well, I have to tell you that I had a chance to look at some of the stuff that Mike sent me about the Hooptie X Racing Series, and this is the Texas version. And I understand that the next weekend is going to be the big event with the triathlon. And first, let's get a little background and what is the Hooptie X Racing Series for those that don't know.
Sure. So Hooptie, it's they call it Hooptie Cross, and it's rally cross for budget beater cars.
For hoopties.
It's hoopties, exactly. That's exactly right. You know, the premise is that you go and you find a $500 clunker, and you go huck it around a dirt track as much as you possibly can, and until it either breaks or you break, and have a blast with it. So this series was formed originally by the guys that started the Gambler 500 which has global notoriety as automotive conservationalism, so to speak, where people would take these cheap cars and cars that aren't supposed to really go off-road, and they would run all the public trails and lands, through the forests and whatnot in the Pacific Northwest, picking up trash and cleaning up and bringing attention to taking care of your public lands, but doing it in cheap cars. Well, that wasn't a race, and the founders of that wanted to add to the fun in a competitive manner. So they created Hooptie Cross, which is what this is. And then I brought these guys down to Texas. Last year was our first year to do this. We do it out at Buffalo Springs Lake in Lubbock, and it's a blast. We've had everything from Ford Aerostar vans to we had a Lexus, we had a Cadillac, we had some Honda Civics and Accords. If you can imagine, whatever you're picturing in your head, when I tell you that people take cheap cars places they're not supposed to go, you're probably right.
Yeah, that's kind of scary because you really don't want to go inside our heads and give us that challenge.
It's probably true, though. Here, I can share a couple pictures.
Please do. Yes, we would love to see that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to also read after you get this pulled up, the page that I pulled up to get some more information about it, because I think that the way that is written is absolutely sick. It's good. I really do like it. But while people are waiting, I like the Ford Aerostar van mention with one of the obviously participants in one of the Hooptie Cross events. This kind of smacks of the roadkill thing, where the guys go out into the junkyard, get a car that's been sitting in the junkyard for 20, 30 years, get it to run, and then take it somewhere. This is kind of in that same vein, and it's very attractive to me. So do you have any participants that have any wood grain on the sides of them?
Yes, we've had a few wagons and some things come out to some previous events, and it's been a lot of fun. It is very roadkill-esque. In fact, a lot of the guys, Dirt Every Day, Jay Leno, gentlemen like that, have participated in these events, in like the Gambler 500 events in the Pacific Northwest. And so it's gained, as I mentioned, a lot of notoriety. Hooptie Cross in itself, while it's still rather in its infancy, it is growing, and they are actually putting on an international race, I believe, in Ireland sometime next year.
Do you still have openings available for next weekend's race, or is it filled up?
No, absolutely. People can come down, bring your car. We've so far as pre-registrations have gone, we've got about 30 people pre-registered, and we've got room for about 30 more.
Oh, good. Okay, so there's room for me.
And you can race. It's literally run what you brung. Race anything that has four wheels and at least one door on it to protect the driver, and wear a helmet and come have a blast.
So no other safety rules other than that, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you don't have to have a fuel cell. You don't have to have a roll cage. This is the absolute cheapest way to get into some form of dirt sports safely, and it's fully insured and all that. It's legitimate racing. So it's also a national point series, and there are events across the entire country. And
I could become a star.
A culmination of points.
I love it.
At the end.
So the Hoopties, I mean, since it's a series, do people buy a Hooptie or bring their Hooptie to different events?
Yeah, they trail.
I'm wondering.
Well, they don't trailer it up there. They wrecker it up there.
Right. It's no joke. A lot of the competitors in this series are following the series around the country, and there will be cars coming in from Oregon and Washington and Indiana.
Well, I don't know why they would. I don't know why you would go to the junkyard up there in the snowbelt states, find something down here, and just bring it from the junkyard.
Well, but if you've got a Hooptie that you think is reliable,
so
why not?
Let me just go ahead.
The pictures didn't share there, Brian.
Let Don do what he needs to do.
It is. It's good to read it.
So I want to read this. Just bear with me just for a minute, because I thought that it was very interesting. It's about getting involved in the thing and registering and that sort of said. Double asterisk, all participants must wear masks and take social distancing measures. Masks not required while racing, or while volunteering on the course. If you don't like the rules, don't come. That's perfect. I love that. Then it goes on to say the triathlon portion is not required. Do if you want to. It'll be a blank show of a good time, so live a little. The lake crossing is about 150 feet in water, about 3 to 6 feet deep. Human-powered crafts only. Post your mini bike on the other side and hop on for a sick loop over bridges and through part of the OHV park. Then it finishes up by saying, the main Hooptie X course is 4.5 miles in length. Yeah, it's pretty blank rad. Fast, slow, technical, all-day pass, $80. Same as last year, and for those who race, these laps average about 7.5 minutes. Find me better value for the seat time. That's the entry. I love it. Did you write this yourself?
I did not. Chuck, the creator of Hooptie Cross, he's the pinman for that.
Well, that's good.
For sure.
Yeah.
So this year we're doing something a little bit different, and we're experimenting with it here, which is the triathlon portion. There's an event in the Carolinas for off-roading and for Jeeps called the 36 Hours of Uwharrie. And I always thought it would be interesting to create an event with Hoopties called the 36 Minutes of Where Are We? And I thought that'd be kind of funny. So we're experimenting with this triathlon deal, camel trophy style, if you will, where you have your hoopty and then you have some sort of floatable object that you have to paddle or kick across the lake. Think like Red Bull Flugtag, but for the water. And then on the other side are those Coleman, Briggs & Stratton powered fat tire mini bikes that people will run around a course that we have set up out here.
Actually, do you have to bring your own mini bike?
You do have to bring your own mini bike. It is not.
I haven't seen one of those in years.
You can do just the car section. However, if you participate in the entire triathlon event, you will receive a handicap towards your rally time, which will shave a few seconds or minutes off your rally time.
So
there is benefit to doing everything.
So it's more of a triathlon than a triathlon.
That's exactly right. It is quite a bit.
And you can use that as my trademark there.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
So is there going to be a Miss Hoopty?
We haven't decided to crown one yet, but I like that idea as well.
I want to throw him out there in the mud.
I want to be Miss Hoopty.
Yeah, Don could be a good Miss Hoopty
in his red pumps.
No, but he's got red tennis shoes, so that he doesn't get his heels stuck in the mud.
And a boa.
So
we've gone off track.
I think that I have an object that I would like to try to get across the lake, and I'm thinking some sort of a human bathtub size cooler with a with a paddle.
Cooler is my first go-to. A cooler would be my first go-to. I've had a buddy say that he was going to attempt a Flex Seal commercial with a shopping cart and try to Flex Seal up a shopping cart and see if it will make it cross. These are the types of things that I hope show up. Anything that's unconventional, maybe the air mattress that you brought to camp with while you're there. Just push that in the water and see if it'll go. It should be a good time.
I saw a video not too long ago down the side of a mountain, and people brought children's, for lack of a better term, pedal cars. Of course, there are not many of those anymore, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
Barbie Jeep racing.
Barbie Jeep racing. That's right.
Power wheels.
Right, and it goes really wrong, really fast, and they all have to wear helmets and shoulder padding.
And there's an ambulance at the bottom of the hill.
Exactly. Right. So we're kind of on the same vein here with Hooptie Cross.
It's all about fun, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is 100% about fun. We try to have as minimal rules as we can that insurance will allow us, so that it is attainable by anybody and everybody.
So,
and when we say run what you brung, we really mean that. Side by sides, Can-Ams, Razors, things like that, they're welcome. Raptors, pre-runners, your mom's minivan, it's all welcome. Bring it all.
So get your hoopty and get out there to Buffalo Springs and have a blast.
That's right. Buffalo Springs Lake, Lubbock, Texas, November 14th. We'll be here all day.
Now, do you have an entry into this field?
I do. I do have an entry. I've actually, last year I didn't. I was the flag man the whole day. I may be putting together 2 entries for this event. I'm not sure if I'll have the other ready in time, but I purchased a $200 Ford Expedition, which I have named the Exhibition. It has no exhaust. The exhaust was cut off at the manifolds. It has 1 door, and I cut the rear roof section out of it, and I put some all-terrain tires on it. And so we're going to see what it can do. I actually got that so that my girlfriend could have a vehicle to run. I'm trying to get a few other of my buddies' girlfriends and wives involved as well, and so we can see what happens there. And then I'm going to try to get my legitimate Baja race truck together and bring it out and make a lap just to kind of shake it down a little bit.
So you're going to have more money invested in the tires than you do in the Expedition.
I got the tires on trade. I'm crafty like that. I traded the tires that were on it for the all-terrain. So I'm in at about $275.
So that's the one you need to put a seat in the back of it, and you get Miss Hooptie, and you could take a lap around as the parade vehicle for Miss Hooptie.
Especially with the roof cut off, it looks just like the Pope Mobile.
There you go.
And if all else,
and dress Miss Hooptie up as a pope.
And if all else fails, get you a blow-up doll and put her in the back there.
That idea has been presented before at some of these events. It's not uncommon.
Don will loan you his blow-up doll.
I don't know about secondhand there. I'm not sure about that.
So, Brian, I'm thinking maybe perhaps that we should have the Texas Trophy version of Hooptie Cross, where we visit major metropolitan areas throughout the state, and you could become Hooptie of Texas.
Absolutely.
So we'll start up there, up in the Panhandle with you, and then we'll move down 35 down to Austin, and maybe have a little San Antonio stop. Of course, you can't leave out Dallas and Fort Worth, and then Corpus, and then Houston. I mean, we can crown the winner here. Beaumont.
Yeah, don't forget Beaumont. They got the Golden Triangle.
Beaumont is Hooptie.
We got lots of mud over there.
Right. No, I think that's a great idea. And my plan with this, Chuck is going to kind of hand this over to me next year and let me run with it a little more. He's getting so busy traveling around the entire country putting on these races that he wants people to kind of branch out on it a little bit. And so I do have plans to expand this around the state, multiple events and things like that. And because it is a national point series, this year, if you win the championship overall in points, you get to go to legitimate rally driving school and get an education on how to drive in the dirt.
Do you have business cards? Do you have Hooptie business cards? I want to know.
I don't have any Hooptie business cards yet. I've got some for all the other automotive stuff that I'm involved in, but they'll be in the works.
Well, I'm thinking that once this thing really takes off and we get more than 30 cars, when we get up there to the 90 car limit,
right?
That we can do a remote broadcast from one of the Hooptie events in the state of Texas.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'd be great.
So this is on November the 14th. So that would be next Saturday.
Next Saturday. Yes, sir.
In Lubbock.
In Lubbock, Texas. So
in Lubbock, Texas.
We're hoping that it's not snowing at the time. Because
I am too. The forecast looks good. The water's going to be chilly. I hope you don't fall in your man-powered watercraft or off one of the bridges in your mini bike. It could be a little cold, but aside from that, it should be a good time.
Sounds like fun.
This would be so much fun.
This would be right up my alley. And I'm thinking it's got to have some sort of wood decor on the side of it of some sort.
And I'm sure Richard Tomlin already has a collection of cars he could come do this with.
All right. So and everything is on the table. And so mini bikes, cars, watercraft, it doesn't make any difference.
That's right. Doesn't make any difference. The goal is to come out and have fun.
They all run the same course?
So all of the cars do, yes. The mini bike course is going to be separate, but all the cars, yes, they run the same course. It's time trial, so it's one at a time, as long as you're fast enough to not be caught going around the course. But we try to space them out appropriately to where there won't be any interference like that.
And what's the prize?
It's trophies. Crafty trophies, things of that nature, crisp high fives.
I'm thinking more along the lines of old bowling trophies from the 1960s. What do you think?
Right, those would be good. I've got a plan for the overall triathlon crown that I'm going to get made up probably next week if I spend some time in my
Can you
shop.
give us an idea of what it's going to entail?
Oh, it's gonna entail little bits of every part of the triathlon. So there'll be a car part, there'll be a boat part, and there'll be a mini bike part.
So
it'll be substantial.
You're going to bring your Lincoln welder with you, and all the parts that fall off out on the track, you're going to weld them together for the trophy.
If I did that, I'd be able to build another car and go take a lap.
Bryant, you're a joy to talk to. We really appreciate it. Best of luck to you in the Hooptie Cross the next weekend up in the Lubbock area up there at Buffalo Springs.
And where do you get more information?
You can go to Facebook and go to Hooptie X, HOOPTIEX. Look it up, and it'll show you the rally group. Or you can go to hooptiex.com.
There you go.
Either place there, you'll get plenty of information.
Very
God
good.
bless. Take care, and best of luck next weekend. Give us a call in a couple of weeks and let us know how it goes.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate y'all.
You bet. Bryant Blakemore.
That'd
The
be so much
Hooptie
fun.
X Hooptie Cross Racing Series. Oh, my God. That's got my name written all over that.
I'm telling you.
All right. Thanks for joining us on today's In Wheel Time Car Show. Time now for This Week in Automotive History. Conrad always manages to come up with some interesting stuff. What do you got today for us?
Well, in the same theme of what we talked about with Charles Kettering, this week in automotive history, Ransom E. Olds received his first patent for a motor carriage in 1897.
There's that Oldsmobile thing. You know, there are other auto manufacturers.
He always gets back to that Oldsmobile.
No, there aren't. In 1900 on this week, the first significant car show happened in the United States. It was a week-long event that was... You're on the wrong one, Jeffrey. That's Ransom. I'm sorry. That is Ransom. Sorry,
we don't know.
I looked at the glasses. So the first week-long auto show was held at Madison Square Garden.
Looks like Ralphie.
And looks like Ralphie. And that was hosted by the Automobile Club of America. There were 51 exhibitors, and they displayed 31 Oldsmobiles. Jeff, just let it run. Along with various accessories. That's the original Olds Curve Dash. There's Madison Square Garden, the original Madison Square Garden, back in 1900. In 1927, Ford produced its first Model A, which had a 205 cubic inch four-cylinder that put out 40 horsepower. It started out at $460, and they had various models of the coupe, the convertible. That is the the zebra crossing. Oh, well, now those aren't on 7-second runs. Michael must have sped them up. So also on this day, the 40th annual automobile show in Illinois was held, in that developing the automotive comfort of air conditioning. The very first car with air conditioning was in 1940, and it was in a Packard, and that car we had shown there a few seconds ago. In 1951, the zebra crossing, the broad white stripe and black stripes across the crosswalks of roads, was developed, and that's where your little turtles with the flash, the reflector in it, was originally developed with the metal studs in the road. In Berkshire, England, in 1960, country and rockabilly artist Jimmy Horton was killed in a head-on crash, actually here in Texas, on Highway 79 in Milano, Texas. He was returning home from a performance at the Skyline Club in Austin. In 1978, Chrysler hired Lee Iacocca. In 1986, this week, was Alfa Romeo was approved for acquisition by fellow automobile manufacturer Fiat. Ford was actually in the running to buy Alfa Romeo. If you kind of remember back in the 80s, Ford was buying up lots of different people at the time, and Alfa was one of them they had taken a look at. And then in 1989, on this day, Carmen Fasanella, the taxi cab driver, retired after 68 years driving a taxi in Princeton, New Jersey. He started driving the taxi in 1921 and was a taxi driver for 68 years.
Same car?
No, different car,
okay.
but same guy.
Did they have to peel his bony fingers off the steering wheel?
I thought that was a pretty good record for 68 years to drive a cab. Can you imagine how annoyed he would have been when Uber started?
At 68 years of doing anything, I'd just be annoyed, period.
So that's this week in automotive history.
Good Lord. 68 years driving a taxi cab.
in New Jersey, of all places.
Hey, driver.
Hey,
So, I mean,
forget about it.
So he's got to be 84 if he started at 16. I mean, that's. Can you
From
imagine a taxi
1921 to
ride with him?
1989. It was a slow ride.
Can you see St. Peter waiting for him at the Golden Gate? So what did you do, sir? Well, I drove me a taxi cab all my life. What? That's it?
Come on in.
Lord. Wonder what
He suffered enough.
Yeah. That's a little bit too much for me. I did have one other automotive news story I wanted to get in. You know, this week in automotive news, it was just not there. It's all about earnings reports. Who wants to know about earnings reports? Are they going to make it to the next, year? That's really all that matters. I mean, I guess stockholders care about that sort of stuff,
Well,
but it makes for boring news.
Well,
Boring.
there was a lot of big recalls, though.
Well, this is not a big recall. 375,000 Explorers for a suspension problem. Well, and here's
it just caused a loss of steering control.
Yeah, so Ford says Wednesday it was recalling 375 Explorers to fix a defect that led to 6 reported injuries. The vehicles are 2013 through 2017 model years. Ford said some of the affected vehicles sold or registered in certain areas of North American states and provinces where corrosion is common have experienced a fracture in the outboard section of the rear suspension toe link after completion of a prior safety recall repair.
So we're going to recall the recall.
A fracture of a rear toe link can reduce steering control, increase the risk of a crash. No, it's only going to reduce it. It's going to be spun out into some wall somewhere. The action affects about 350,000 vehicles in the U.S. and 25,000 in Canada. The vehicles built at Ford's Chicago assembly plant from September 2012 through January of 2017. The automaker said it was aware of 13 incidents and 6 injuries related to the defect. Whoops, there goes the rear axle.
General Motors recalled all of the 2020 Chevrolet, GMC, Buick, and Cadillac crossover vehicles for fuel line supply issue. It wasn't a thermal event, but it would just, the truck would stall because of a bit of debris inside the fuel line would stop the fuel
On every
flow.
one of those.
The Enclave, the Cadillac XT5, the Cadillac XT6, the Chevy Traverse, and the GMC Acadia. If you own a 2020, it was just recalled.
All of them use the same system.
Well, they're all the same
parts,
platform, basically.
How do all of those cars have one common problem like that?
The manufacturer.
Because it's all the same platform.
No, I understand, but I mean, is it in the fuel line? You said the fuel line.
It's in the. It's kind of got two fuel tanks in it, and there's a crossover piece. Your Corvette does the same thing, and the jet pump in the crossover piece would clog up, and they wouldn't get the fuel out of
Clog up with what?
some piece of manufacturing debris that was left inside
Something
the tank.
inside the tank.
Manufacturing debris.
Right. So as they were cutting some piece of plastic to build those fuel tanks, they left some of the cuttings in there, and it would get in there and jam up the jet
Way
pump.
to go.
And then General Motors, again, they had a wide-ranging recall for a transmission oil leak that may lead to in loss of engine power. And there's a total of 194,000 SUVs and sedans included in that recall, 2019 and 2020. Lots of recalls.
Well, that's the only news that there is this week, really, other than our buddy Bob Brockman with Reynolds and Reynolds and his old Bob. Houstonian.
Well, Nissan Maxima is going to release a 40th anniversary of the Maxima. I didn't realize that, Maxima had been around for 40 years. I remember it was originally the 4-door sports car.
Yep.
In
fact, I don't even know the last time I saw one.
I see them every now and then. They don't sell a lot of them, but they're going to release a 40th anniversary of that.
Why? If they don't sell a lot of them, why would you release that?
Honda sold 181,000 vehicles in October, an all-time record.
Wow.
Considering in these pandemic times,
Really?
that's quite a record.
It is.
And then Honda announced the end of its official support for the Formula One engine program they've been running now for a couple of years, though they are going to leave the technology and the engine availability there for AlphaTauri racing and Red Bull racing.
Got to go.
Got to go.
Thank you. We'll be back in just a minute.
The Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In in Katy returns Saturday morning, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. This fun and fabulous event attracts the best rides in town. Tailpipes and Tacos is free and everyone is invited. You'll see collector cars, hot rods, customs, magnificent originals, and resto mods all in one place. The Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy. Cars from all over Southeast Texas cruise in and show off in a 3-hour friends and family event. Loopy's will have breakfast tacos, coffee, and the best cars, all at one location. The Loopy Tortilla Mexican Restaurant on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 in Katy. Drag racer, car enthusiast, and Loopy founder Stan Holt brings you Houston's hottest cruise-in, Tailpipes and Tacos, Saturday, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. at Loopy's in Katy. The In-Wheel Time Car Show will be there too. Get your ride ready, and we'll see you at the Tailpipes and Tacos Saturday morning cruise-in, November 21st, 8 to 11 a.m.
Well, you know what that sound means. That's it for this episode of the In-Wheel Time Car Show. Hey, when you're on Facebook, please give us a like, tell your friends about us, and share our junk. You'll get Conrad's unicorn hunting features along with all things automotive all week long. In-Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook, YouTube, and on InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. Special thanks to all of our guests today. The In-Wheel Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous David Ainsley. Our video and marketing man is Jeffrey Zekin. This week's In-Wheel Time Car Show is produced and directed by Guy Lombardo. For booking agent and podcast man Mike out of this world Mars, his royalty king Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong saying so long for now. We hope that you'll join us on the next live show next Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to noon Central Time, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network. We thank you for being part of the In-Wheel Time family. Mask up and stay healthy. I'm Don Armstrong. Have a great weekend, and so long for now.